Hi, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be my eyeshadow palette collection and declutter. So if you all have been here on my channel with me for any length of time, you probably saw the last eyeshadow palette collection and declutter video that I did, and it was a very long, very extensive video. It is my most successful video here on YouTube. I'll link it above if you want to go check that out. You can compare it to this video. There's going to be a lot of palettes that carry over from that video. That video was posted 2 years ago, so as you can imagine, I've accumulated a lot of different eyeshadow palettes since 2 years ago. So that's what I want to do today. I want to share my collection with you all, go through each palette just like I did in the other video. You all really seem to like that. And we're going to decide which ones I want to keep, which ones I want to get rid of. I'm just going to be very forthcoming. This is not going to be a ruthless declutter. I love having a collection. I love having a makeup collection in general, but I also love collecting eyeshadow palettes. Now, there might be ones that I pull out of my main vanity and I'll put away in a box somewhere just for comparison's sake or keepsakes or whatever. There's a lot that I have in my collection that I don't necessarily keep because I want to use them. But I like keeping them for sentimental purposes, collection purposes, whatever. So all that being said, that's what we're doing today. If that sounds interesting, please be sure to stick around. But if you're just now making it to my channel and you're not subscribed yet, maybe you've been enjoying other videos of mine, or if this is your very first video watching, if you enjoy it, tap the like button, hit the subscribe button, stick around for a while. We would love to have you. Let's get into this video. So the first little stack of palettes I'm going to share with you is actually what I pulled for this most recent Shop My Stash. So obviously if it's in my Shop My Stash, I'm not getting rid of any of the ones I'm about to share with you. There's 5. The first one is the Heather Austin and Adept Cosmetics palette. And this palette is gorgeous. I mean, would you look at it? It's got some really beautiful tones in here. I love the fact that it's got some really shifty, shiny, sparkly special shades. Like, if you all know me, you know that those have my entire heart. So shades like Austin and Passport, Smith, they're shiny and shifty and duochrome, multichrome, iridescent. Like, I love those types of shadows. So this is such a fantastic palette. Obviously not going anywhere, but this is the first one I'm sharing. This is from Cash Beauty, and this is their Secret Treasures palette. And I haven't actually used this one yet, which is why I put it in this Shop My Stash. It's a beautiful, warm-toned, brown palette, you know what I mean? I mean, what can I say about it? I don't know why I felt the need, or why I felt compelled to purchase this one, but I do think it's pretty. I just wanted to try the brand. Still haven't tried it. Natasha Denona Pastel Palette. I am a diehard Natasha Denona fan. I love her formula. I love collecting these little midi-sized palettes because they're just so good. And at the $65 price point, you kind of can't beat that for Natasha quality. So I love these. I'm actually wearing this green on the outer portion of my eyes today. It's a fun palette. The Natasha Denona Circo Loco palette. Again, a lot of fun colors in here. I'm also wearing this shade and this shade today. Really beautiful, fun color story. I definitely need to get more use out of these palettes from Natasha, especially for how much you pay for them. This is one of the bigger size palettes, so these are pricier than her midi-sized. So I really like it. I think it's fun, and I'm excited to keep using it. Last but not least, from my Shop My Stash selection is the Beauty Bay Wilderness palette. And I purchased this soon after it first dropped, maybe a couple months after it first dropped. I heard so many people say amazing things about this palette. It's really beautiful. It reminds me of the Melt, I think it's the Melt Muerte palette, which is no longer available. Really beautiful, fun color story. And I've gotten, like, no use out of this, so I need to get some use out of it. Now I'm just going to pull out a drawer, and we're going to start pulling and talking about what I find in there. Kylie Jenner's Blue Honey palette. Is that what this is called? I feel like this is called Blue Honey. It doesn't say on the outside of it, but this is what it looks like on the inside. Kind of a different color story, right? I didn't get hardly any use out of this palette. I'm not sure why I've held on to it as long as I have. I thought it was a really unique color story, because it is, but the shadows are just nothing like special. There's some of the shimmer shades I just swatched. I mean, it's a really, do I want to keep this? I don't know. Do I need this? I mean, actually the shadows feel really nice. Why haven't I used this? You know what? I kind of want to hang on to this. I need to make a point of using this. I think it's really beautiful. I don't know why I haven't used it up until this point. Well, yes, I do, because I have too many eyeshadow palettes. Okay, the next palette I'm sharing with you is the Wet n Wild Nude Awakening palette. And I still don't think I've ever used this. And if I did, it was like once. There's honestly no reason for me to hang on to it. There was a time when I wanted to hang on to certain palettes because it was like, oh, I have a drugstore option. Can I help you? What is she doing? What are you doing, sir? Anyway, I don't think I need to hang on to this. It's not like it's an amazing eyeshadow formula or there's a reason why I should hang on to it, so I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one. Next up is the Dia y Noche palette from J-Cat Beauty, and I bought this, well, for one, look at how beautiful and bright and loud and colorful this palette is. Very affordable. This is a drugstore brand. I bought it from Ulta several years ago. Still haven't used it. Mind-boggling, I know. And I'm debating whether or not I ever will. Am I going to use this palette ever? It's got some really beautiful, bright shades in here. I kind of want to hang on to it. This is why declutters are so hard for me. I have a hard time. Oh, that's smart, Michelle. Let's swatch it right where you all can't see it. Come on. Look how pretty. Like, those are really beautiful shades. I'm keeping it. The House Labs 4-way pay. I'm pretty sure either I meant to declutter this the last time or I said I was going to declutter after I used it. I can't remember exactly which one it was. But it's just not good. There's nothing good about this. This is before she rebranded, so I'm not sure if the rebranded House Laboratories has eyeshadows yet. I don't know. But the formula is just very mediocre. And this color story is nothing like, I don't really know what I was thinking picking this up. So anyway, that's definitely going. My cats are so freaking rotten. You see them laying right in front of that light? What are you doing over there? What are you doing? You're so rotten. You're so rotten. I can't help it. I love my cats. Anyway, the Charlotte Tilbury Fire Rose palette. I bought this, I think, last year. Really beautiful quad. It's got some amazing shades in here. Specifically, this really shiny, sparkly, eye-catching shade here. I love it. I really enjoyed the eye looks I created with it. It's just a really beautiful neutral color story. It's super simple. If I want something that's glam but easy, I can dip into this, and it's just one of those palettes that makes an eye look easy, so I'm going to hang on to that. Next up is my little stack of Huda Beauty, so let's just get through some of these. The Neon Orange palette. I really like this one. It's got a lot of bold, beautiful, fun colors in here. I really liked it when I have used it in the past. I haven't used it in a long time, but again, it's got some really beautiful, bright, vibrant, kind of unique shades in here. Like, oh yeah. I want to hang on to this one. I don't understand the shimmer formula though. In these 9 pans, they're just not great. They're a little translucent. Nothing too fantastic, but I do love the mattes, so we will keep it. The Huda Beauty Caramel Brown palette, same thing. The mattes are really nice. The shimmers are questionable. The shimmer in the middle here, very weird, hard-pressed, hard to get payoff. I love the color story. What are y'all doing? My younger cat is grooming my older cat. You love your brother? Oh my god. And now he's biting him. Okay. Can you not? You're abusive. You get him comfortable and then you bite him. Anyway, do I want to keep this? I feel like there's enough good shades in this palette to offset that really ridiculous piece of trash middle shade, so I'm going to keep it. The Pastel Lilac from Huda Beauty. I have cat hair all over my face. I keep feeling it, like on my chin. And it's really itching and driving me up a wall, but we're going to move on. This was a palette that I was not impressed with. The shadows in here are just nothing. They're just nothing to write home about. Like, those are the shimmer shades. They all look the exact same, right? And they swatch super light. That's it. That's what you get. I don't really know what kind of look you're supposed to get with this palette, to be honest with you. Do I need to keep this? It's just not good. You ain't good. I'm going to get rid of it. I don't know why I held on to it as long as I have. The Huda Beauty Topaz Obsessions. I think the Obsessions palettes from Huda Beauty are great. There's a lot of people that are kind of on the fence with them, or that really don't like them. They don't think the quality is very good. I feel like for the most part, they're pretty decent palettes. They're easy to use. They're fun little color stories. It makes an eye look super simple when you have them in this little, you know, in this setup. It makes it really simple to create a look. You don't have to do a lot of thinking. It's just there ready for you. I picked this one up most recently out of the ones that I have because it was the one, well, there's a couple I don't have, but I've been wanting this one for quite a while. I believe I got it from BoxyCharm on a super deep discount. I think I paid like $6 or $9 or something like that for it, which in my mind, well worth it. I'm not sure I've used it yet. Have I used you? It's just a run-of-the-mill, warm-toned, pretty little palette. I'm keeping it. The Amethyst Obsessions. Is this one a mess? No, this one's not too bad. I remember using this so much when I first got it. This is a beautiful little purple palette. I love the shimmers in here. I mean, we've got a lot of dimension, some shiftiness. In all honesty, this is probably, I don't know if this was the first experience I had with like duochromes, multichromes, whatever, but maybe one of the first. And I like this one here. Just really beautiful, shifty. It's just nice. It's a nice little purple palette, and I'm keeping it. I still have cat hair on my face. The Sapphire Obsessions. Oh, you're dirty. This one looks like it hasn't been used because I actually got sent 2 of these by mistake. And I think I gave one of them away and I kept the newer one. So, am I ever going to use this palette? I think it's really unique in terms of the shades in here. I don't think they're anything revolutionary as far as quality goes. But some of them are really pretty. Do I need this? I think I'm going to hang on to this for now. For now. I don't know if it'll make the next round. It's not my favorite out of the ones that I have in this collection, but we're going to keep it. The Mauve Obsessions. I used this a lot. I don't know if you can tell. Maybe a little bit with the shimmers, but I use this a lot. This is a really good mauve toned palette. I haven't used it in a really long time. Do I need it? Am I ever going to use it again? It's just really basic. Right here. I kind of want to keep it. That's the pack rat in me. I don't want to get rid of anything. Oh well, here we are. The Ruby Obsessions. This one was a little bit of a letdown just because when you look at it, like Ruby, you think red, and it does look really red, but there's more pink in here than there is red. Just trust me on that. Like even the shades that look red end up swatching pink. That was my main gripe with this palette. Right here, by my elbow. I know, the swatches are horrific. You're just going to have to forgive me on this one. But I still think that there's enough versatility in here. And I do like the shades, so I'm going to keep it. This is why I have like 200 and some eyeshadow palettes. The last time I filmed this video, I think I ended up getting rid of like 50 palettes. I don't think that's going to be my experience this time. But you never know. Hey, you better leave my light alone, sir. You better leave my light alone. Hey, psst. Excuse me. Looking all cute. Next up is the Emerald Obsessions, and this is another one, just like the purple one. I got a lot of use out of this one. I mean, look how dirty it is. This shade down here shattered into like a million pieces, and I mushed it back in, and I just think this is such a great green color story. I really love this one. A lot of fun colors in here. I just really like this one, and I've gotten a lot of use out of it, and I feel like I can still get some use out of it. Like, look at that. It's just fun. So you gotta remember, I do film YouTube videos. I do comparisons. I like to create my own palettes from palettes I already have. I like to dupe palettes. So in doing that, I like to have a really broad variety to choose from. So having a large collection enables me to do that. When I see a palette I really, really want, but I don't want to spend money on it, I can go in my collection almost every time and build a palette very similar with what I already have. So that's just me justifying why I like having a large collection. So anyway, keeping that one, the Coral Obsessions. This one's a fun little story on how I purchased this one. I had sun poisoning when I was at the beach several years ago, and I was laying in bed and I was shopping Sephora while I was delusional. I mean, I swear to you, this really happened. Didn't remember purchasing it, got home from the beach, and there was a package at my doorstep, and this palette was in that package, and then it jogged my memory, and I was like, oh yeah. I was delusional when I purchased that palette. I totally forgot that I had done that. Keeping that one. Okay, the Nabla Cutie palette. I bought this one when it went on the 21 Days of Beauty sale at Ulta because I've wanted this for a really long time. I feel like this is the only Nabla palette that I own. Is it? I'm pretty sure it is. But I'd really been wanting to try the formula, and I'd heard a lot of good things about them. I think this is such a beautiful, fun, easy little color story. Have I used it? I'm not sure. And if I did, it was like once. And I just bought it not that long ago, so it's not going anywhere, but like really beautiful, fun tones. You know. It's not going anywhere. Oh, it's called the Analog. I thought it was just the cutie palettes. That's right. There's a whole collection of little cutie palettes. This one's the Analog. It says number 7. Was there that many of them? I didn't think there was that many of them. Hey! Y'all better get up off my stuff. What are you doing? What are you trying to do? Huh? It scares me with them walking around my equipment. Can I help you? Okay, next up is the Aurora palette from Alter Ego. So this is supposed to be, well, first of all, Alter Ego is a brand that dupes higher-end brands like Natasha Denona. This is supposed to be a dupe of the Sunset. I always get them confused. Sunrise, Sunset palette from Natasha Denona. Anyhow, I have the original, so I don't really feel the need to keep the dupe. I could have sworn I already got rid of this. I'm kind of wondering how it ended up back up in my collection. Did I declutter this one? Maybe I didn't. Maybe I kept it for like comparison's sake. Honestly, I don't know. It is a really good palette. There's nothing wrong with it. I did a video with it several years ago now here on my channel, and I loved the eye look I created with it. So it has nothing to do with quality or anything like that. But if I have the original, I don't feel the need to keep the dupe. So I'm going to declutter this one. So far, I've decluttered 4 palettes. Next up is the Tartelette palette from Tarte. It's a very basic, neutral palette. It's got all mattes in here. We've got like a row of browns, purples, and then like grayish tones. This is just super simple if you're looking for a smoky look. You can do it by row, you can mix it up a little bit, but I just really like that idea that if I want a really simple, matte, smoky look, I can reach into here, pick from either row, and, you know, there you go, boom, got it. I love the way Tarte eyeshadows smell. They smell like chocolate or something like that. They just have a really nice smell to them, and I don't know, man. There's just something about this palette that's kind of nostalgic for me. This was one of the first palettes I bought when I first really started getting into makeup, and I kind of can't let it go. I need to hang on to it. Sentimental purposes. I love that damn cat. Look at him. Look how handsome. Look how handsome. The Nightingale palette from Pretty Vulgar. I I believe I got this in a BoxyCharm quite a while ago. The quality in this palette is actually really good. And this is another one of those, like, if I want a smoky eye look, it's a really easy palette to get that from. It's got everything you need. It's got lighter shades, darker shades, a couple of shimmers thrown in there. And again, the quality is actually really good on this one. Do I need it though? Like, not a bad palette, right? Do I need it? Oh, why is it so hard for me to part with things? I kind of want to hang on to it. I like the fact that it's got those deeper grays. Like, you've got black, black. You got a really deep gray here. You got a deeper gray shimmer. You got like this bluish colored gray. I just really like those tones, and I feel like I don't have a lot of those tones in my collection, so I'm going to hang on to it. Next up is the Alamar Cosmetics Reina del Caribe Volume Number 1. This is another palette I got out of BoxyCharm. When I first got this, I was super in love with the shimmers in this palette because I was really new to eyeshadows and I didn't really know what a good shimmer formula was. But now that I've tried a lot of different formulas, I have many different brands to kind of compare to, and this palette is getting rather old. It's just not what it used to be, and I really don't see myself dipping into this for any reason. Those are some of the shimmers. Like, I remember being head over heels thinking this was like the best thing since sliced bread. I just don't think I need it anymore. It served its purpose at the time. I'm gonna let this go. The Spanglish palette from Alamar. So this is one that I purchased off of BoxyCharm when they had their pop-up sale because it was super, super cheap. Probably like $5, $6, something like that. And I don't know why I purchased it. Not to say that it's not a pretty palette, and I'm sure the quality is just fine, but I have these shades 10 times over, at least. And probably better quality. So again, I'm not trying to shit on Alamar, but it just was very unnecessary for me to purchase this one. Why did I purchase you? Because I have problems. Ooh, the shimmers are really gritty feeling. Yeah, I'm going to let this one go. I don't need it. Dipping into some Juvia's Place palettes, the Nubian Glow. Really beautiful, orangey, yellowy toned color story. Do I need it? I kind of like... I like the color story. I think it's pretty. I don't like the fact that these come with a glitter in them. I just don't like these really chunky type of glitters. They scare the shit out of me putting them next to my eyeballs because I have enough problems with my eyes. So the thought of getting one of those glitter particles stuck in my eye gives me severe anxiety. So I don't use those. So when I look at this palette, do I need it? I think I'm going to hang on to it because it's another one of those palettes I can reach into if I'm looking for specific tones. This color here is really beautiful. I love the depth of it. This yellow I probably have a bunch of. I don't know. We're going to hang on to it, and then we're just going to... I'm going to quit trying to justify my decision. The Nubian Royal. Again, one of their little 6 pans. More chunky glitter. It's so pretty, though. It's like a holographic purple. But it's scary because it's chunky. I'm going to hang on to this one too. I really like the shades of purple in here. I like the shimmers in here. Another Juvia's Place. This is the Mauves. Have I used this one? This one's only got the 2 shimmers. And one of them is really hard pressed. This one here, I'll show you in the pan. This one here is really hard pressed for whatever reason. Do I need it? I've got shadow all over me. I'm going to keep it anyway. This is a little Makeup Geek palette that I assembled. I don't know why I'm showing this here because this is considered my singles. So this is actually in the wrong stack. I'm going to add this to my other Makeup Geek shadows. Makeup Geek is no longer a thing. Well, it is, but they're going out of business. So I kind of want to hang on to them for sentimental purposes. I wasn't really huge into makeup when Makeup Geek was like super on top of their game when they were really popular. I came into the game like as they were kind of fizzling out or as other brands were coming up. I guess that's a nicer way of saying it. But I think they have really great... What? They have great quality. I think they have really great quality, so there's no need for me to declutter it. It's just in the wrong stack. Okay, these next 3 palettes I purchased at the same time on the Cara Beauty website, and this was from like their High Times collection or whatever it was called. We've got Purple Haze, Orange Pop, and then Girl Scout. Obviously, they're all weed themed. I'm not a pot smoker. If I was, it wouldn't make any difference. I mean, but in terms of like the palettes themselves, that's not why I bought them. I didn't buy them because it was a pot theme or whatever. I bought them because I thought that they were really beautiful color stories, and I still think that, but I also think that the quality is just not there. It's not as good. It's just not the greatest quality, if I'm just being 100% honest. They've all got glitters in them, at least 2 of these really chunky type of glitters that scare me. But even above and beyond that, they've got a couple of shimmers. This one's only got 2. And the mattes are okay. They're just nothing, they're just, I mean, there's just some of the mattes out of this purple one here. They're okay. But there's nothing about these palettes that gets me so excited where I feel like I need to use them. And I've had them now for probably the past 3 years, and I still haven't gotten any use out of them. So the only reason why I would ever keep these is if I wanted to be able to pull specific shades from them for like a build my own palette. But even as I'm looking at them now, like there's nothing so amazing about them where I feel like I would get any use even in that way. So I'm just going to declutter all 3 of them. Okay, next up in the stack, this just caught my eye. So this next palette is from Makeup Geek again. This is one that I built myself on their website, and I told this story before in one of my prior videos. I can't remember which one, but anyway, I remember when a friend of mine first told me about Makeup Geek and the fact that you could build your own palettes. And again, this was when I first really started getting into makeup. And I was so excited that I was able to assemble my own palette. I just thought that that was the coolest freaking thing. And I remember being so excited when I was picking the shades, and I was trying to be very strategic in terms of what shades I picked. So this was supposed to be like the perfect palette for green eyes, if you can't tell. And I just really remember being excited when I put it together, when I got it in the mail. And then I never really used it that much. I used it a handful of times when I first got it, but I haven't used this in forever. But this is another one of those palettes that holds sentimental value to me. And it kind of marks the beginning of my makeup journey here on YouTube and just my makeup journey in general. And I can't let it go. So we're hanging on to it. The next 4 palettes that I'm going to share with you are part of the Sweet Shop collection from VH Cosmetics. We have the cherry on top. These are all monochrome color stories, and they are such amazing quality for such an affordable price point. VH Cosmetics was recently bought out by Makeup Revolution, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. I haven't tried anything from them since they were bought out. I don't even know if they've released anything. I haven't really been paying attention, if I'm just being honest, but these palettes specifically are amazing. They're great. If you have the opportunity to pick them up still, I don't even know if they're still available, so I guess I should have checked that before saying all this, but if you have the opportunity to pick them up and you like the monochromatic color themes and whatnot, they're great. So I'm not decluttering any of these. This one is their bubblegum palette. We have pistachio. I did videos with all 3. Did I do videos with all 3 of these? I think I did videos with all 3 of these, actually. If I can remember, I'll try to link at least one of those above. My pistachio look or my cherry on top look were probably my favorites. And then I also have cotton candy. I believe there was another one of these that I didn't grab, at least one more. But these were the 4 that I have, and I'm keeping them. This next palette is from a brand that doesn't exist anymore. Well, they do, but they rebranded. This was from Blush Tribe, and this is the Hasina 2. And I bought this because I'm a green and purple lover, like you guys probably know. But if I'm just being totally honest with you, I don't think I've used this to this day. I think I might have like cherry picked a couple of shades at some point or another to use in a look. But other than that, I get 0 use out of this palette. And the only reason why I kept it the last time around is because it wasn't that old in my collection, and again, I hadn't gotten any use out of it. But I've had this mug for 2 years now, and I still haven't gotten any use out of it. Like, it's really pretty, but I just don't see myself using it, like, ever. I don't know if you guys can even see that. I don't know why I swatch them like that. So the shade's down here by my elbow. Really beautiful. You know, there's just something telling me not to let it go. I don't know why. It's the pack rat. I know it's the pack rat in me, but I'm going to hang on to it just for a little while longer. Okay, next up is the Kaleidos The Escape Pod. I still remember when this one came out. I was so excited to have it and use it and play with all these really beautiful fun colors. It's a really fun palette. I haven't reached for it in a long time, which honestly is a shame because I remember really liking this. Like, the mattes are so freaking soft and smooth. Why do I do that? From, like, here down. Lots of beautiful shades. I think it's a really fun color story. The shimmers are really sparkly and shiny. It's got these really soft, vibrant colored mattes. I like it. Definitely not getting rid of it. I also have the Club Nebula, which is one of their collaborations with Angelica Nyqvist. I really enjoyed this one. I think the quality on this one is a little bit better than the Escape Pod in terms of, like, the shimmers. Well, you know what? Actually, they feel about the same now that I'm touching them. But I really love the color story in here. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the looks that I've created with it. That's staying. Next up is the Pure Festival palette. This is one that I got out of a BoxyCharm quite a long time ago. I haven't had BoxyCharm in a couple of years now. I just felt like I wasn't getting my money's worth because I wasn't using a lot of the products that I was getting out of the boxes. This is just nothing exciting for me. It's a lot of browns with a pop of purple and pink and chunky glitters. So I'm going to declutter this one. Super chunky glitters. Oh my. Yeah, that one can take a hike. Then we have the BH Cosmetics Weekend Festival. This is such a great little colorful palette, and I just remember when I first got this one, I had just started getting into colorful eyeshadows, and this was like way outside my comfort zone. So I haven't even taken this to the full, like, max of what I can do with this palette because I was scared of some of the shades in here. Do I need to keep this one? Like, it's got some really soft but vibrant, beautiful mattes. It's got some pretty little satins in here. Oh, you know what? The shimmers or the satins are starting to lose their quality a little bit because this is an older palette. I feel like I got this probably like 3 years ago. Am I ever going to use this again? I feel like this is going to be one of those palettes where I take it out of my main collection and I put it in a box somewhere because, again, this signifies the beginning of my makeup journey. The colorful aspect, like, I was afraid to wear orange eyeshadow. I didn't want to wear anything that wasn't neutral or purple or green. Like, I really didn't venture outside of those main shades. Do I want to keep it? Yep, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it just for sentimental sake. Okay, the next palette is from BH Cosmetics, and this is their Take Me Back to Brazil. Again, this is a very, very colorful palette. And you know what? Like, I used this a couple times for specific things, but I haven't touched this in a really long time. Do I need this? The shimmers at the bottom are really crappy, so I wouldn't recommend those, but the other colors are actually pretty nice. I don't need it anymore. I've got plenty of other colorful palettes. I'm going to also put this in a box somewhere and keep it for sentimental purposes. Okay, next up is the Be Perfect Cosmetics Carnival 3 palette. This is a mamma jamma of a palette. I mean, this mug is huge. And I gotta say, the mattes in here are really nice, and I keep hanging on to this one because of how versatile, how colorful. You've got such a wide selection of shades in here, but the shimmers they're just not good. I would say at least 80% of the shimmers in this palette are hard pressed, don't swatch well, don't pick up on a brush very well, don't pick up on your finger very well, whatever. But the mattes in here is where this really shines. So I'm definitely going to keep, you know, hanging on to it. I like having this for when I'm looking, again, for specific tones. Just because it offers so much. There's just so much to choose from in here. So hanging on to that. Next up is the Kaleidos Flower Punk palette. This was one of those palettes, first of all, the packaging. I talk about the packaging every time I talk about this palette. Which I really like it, especially like the inside. I don't have another palette like that. But anyway, this is one of those palettes where it's an extremely unique color story. I don't have anything else like this in my collection, which is one of the reasons why I want to hang on to it. Like when you look at it like this, it looks like a Milk Cosmetics palette, but that's, you know, neither here nor there, I guess. But I just think it's really unique, and I like pink, green, I like the grunginess of it. I'm going to hang on to it. Next up in here is the Urban Decay Naked Heat. And I don't know why this has been such a pain in my ass palette from day one, but this is just one of those palettes that just never worked for me. No matter what type of look I tried, I ended up with the same coppery brown look every time. It all muddies together. There's just not enough variation in tone, I think, or even in depth, that all the eye looks just look the same. I just never really like this palette. And they're starting to feel really chalky and gritty, like the mattes. So this is one of those palettes where I'm also going to take it out of my main collection and it's going to go in a box somewhere. It is one of those ones that brings back memories, even though they're not the greatest memories. It's one of the very first higher end palettes I bought, so I don't necessarily want to throw it away, but it also doesn't need to be in my main collection. Sticking with Urban Decay, this is the Born to Run palette, and this is another one that I just never saw the hype with. Never understood why people thought this was such an amazing palette. I just didn't get on with it well at all. It's got a really, first of all, I really like the packaging on this. I think it's really unique. I really like how weighty it is. Like, this mirror is a serious mirror. It's not one of them little fake mirrors. This is thick. It's a real mirror. And I don't mind the layout and everything, and the color story is really nice, but above and beyond that, I just never saw the hype. I feel like I need to give this some more tries. Even though I did. I tried. I really wanted to love this one. I wanted to love you. But you made it hard. You made it so hard to love you. Do I want to even pull this out of my collection? I don't know what I want to do. Look, I'm getting tired already. And I still have a lot more to go. I'm not even a third way through. I'm going to put this in that box of other palettes that I don't want to throw away, but I need to get out of my collection. Okay. The P. Louise Watch the Queen Conquer. First of all, this is a massive palette. If you open it up like this, it turns into like a little chessboard or a checkerboard, which is kind of cute, I guess, if you have the pieces to play. But in terms of an eyeshadow palette, it is gargantuan. Really beautiful palette, though. It's got all these pretty bright colors. I just don't like, you know, the fact that I gotta do that when I want to use it. But anyhow, I'm not getting rid of it. This is a newer palette to me. I think I bought it around Christmas time. It's got some really pretty shades in here. The mattes are really nice, super pigmented, blendable, the whole nine. We're keeping it. The Be Perfect Carnival palette. This is their first one. Again, very beautiful, colorful. Lots going on in here. How's the quality? I feel like I've had this for like 3 years now. Oh. Holy Moses. Would you look at that freaking pink? Good God. I mean, the quality still looks really nice. They're not chalky. Wow. Really bright and vibrant. I'm going to hang on to it. I thought for sure that the quality was going to be garbage. Wow. Not too shabby. Okay, moving down to the BH Cosmetics Lunar New Year palette. I remember when I first bought this, I was most drawn to the shade up here in the corner. I thought that was a beautiful, sparkly, shifty, duochrome, like, pressed satin shadow or whatever. Sparkly, I don't know. I didn't realize it was a pressed glitter. And it is. And again, I don't do pressed glitters. Now, it's beautiful. Like, look how pretty. If that was a regular satin, if that wasn't a pressed glitter, I'd have been over the moon. But this has 5 pressed glitters in it. And I didn't realize that. I thought they were all just pressed satins. The original, like, promotional photo, it didn't say anything about pressed glitters. So I'm a little bummed. I feel like it was a little bit misrepresented. Had I known that, I wouldn't have picked this one up, because the shadows that you see that are sparkly, those are the ones I wasn't most excited about. And I can't use them. Or I won't use them, let's put it that way. So above and beyond that, do I need this palette? It's not bad in terms of quality. I feel like the shades are very vibrant and creamy. Not a bad palette, but I don't know if I'm ever going to use it. Because I feel like I have these tones. I know I have these tones. I think I'm going to finally get rid of this. I mean, I didn't buy it that long ago, but again, if I know I'm not going to use it, why the hell am I hanging on to it? So, this one's going to get decluttered. Okay, next up in here is the e.l.f., their little bite-sized palette. This is their Cream and Sugar. These were super, like, hyped up and talked about in the beauty community just because they are super inexpensive. They're $3 palettes. They're really nice quality, especially for being only $3. The only thing is I don't ever reach for it because I have these tones 100 times over, so I really don't have the need to reach for this palette, but I kind of like having this as an option, right? Because it's super simple. I just really and truly, I don't need it. So I'm going to let it go. No, why would I keep it, right? Next up in here is the Natasha Denona Mini Love Palette. And this is one that I got maybe like 2 years ago. It's a cute little palette. It's Natasha's tiniest little palettes. And I believe these are $25, which in my opinion is still kind of pricey for the fact that these are really tiny pans. But it's a pretty enough palette. I'm going to keep it because I'm a sucker for Natasha Denona. This is the Natasha Denona Peak palette. And I got this one, I think in a BoxyCharm. And there's hair on it. Just a very basic, warm-toned palette. These are typically, I think, like $48, which is just, in my mind, crazy. I would never pay $48 for a palette this size. I didn't. Especially when you consider that these are $65. So 48, 65, you know what I mean? Like, it just really doesn't add up when you look at the two. I guess because there's a lot more product in these pans. But I don't need pans this large. I'll never go through that much eyeshadow to begin with. So, anyhow, long drawn out, not going to get rid of it because it's Natasha. Definitely wouldn't purchase this one outright. That's, no, not me. If you do, you boo, not me. I ain't going to do it. e.l.f. Mad for Matte. It's just a very basic, neutral, matte color story. Very creamy shades, like when I swatch these, super creamy. I kind of like how cool toned these are. I'm going to hang on to this one. Next up is the Kaleidos Futurism Astro Pink. And again, with the packaging, Kaleidos always kills it. It opens up like this. You got the mirror, but look how beautiful this color story is. Really beautiful. I'm definitely going to keep it. I've had it for a few years now. For sure could get more use out of it, which I plan on doing, hopefully. I'm going to keep it. Next up is the Kaleidos Futurism 1 Sci-Fi Green in that same collection as the last one I just showed you. And again, really beautiful color story. You all know me. I love a green eyeshadow, and they're really fantastic quality, so not going anywhere. And then I also have the Electro Turquoise. And just a fun color story. Every time I see this, it reminds me of the Miami Dolphins. just with the teal and the orange, but it is really beautiful nonetheless. Definitely keeping that. So that is the first drawer. Let's see how many I had overall and how many I'm decluttering. So overall, there was 51 palettes in that one drawer. That's a lot, right? 51 palettes in one drawer? Like, holy shit. Out of those 51 palettes, I'm decluttering 12, and then I'm putting away for safekeeping 4. So really 16 I'm decluttering. So that means I'm keeping, what was that, 35? Yes. So 35 being kept out of the 51. That's not too shabby. That's a hell of a lot better than I thought I was gonna do. But we still have 4 more drawers. 4? 1? Yes, we still have 4 more drawers to go through. Alright, we're down to the next drawer of my eyeshadow palettes, and things get switched up a little bit here. We've got some indie, we've got Morphe, we've got a bunch of odds and ends, so let's just keep plowing through this eyeshadow palette collection and declutter. First of all, can you all take a look at this eyeshadow, okay? Look at this beautiful holographic shade on my lids. Tell me that's not yummy. It's from Touch of Glam. They took their Lucid Lavender shade and made it into a holographic shade, and it is gorgeous, stunning, beautiful, all of those descriptors. Okay, let's move it along. The next palette I'm sharing with you is from Glam Shop, which is a Polish brand. This is their, I think it's called, is it their Heath? Oh shit. Oh no. Oh no, guys. I just had a shadow fall out all over my lap, and it's a dark shade. I'm gonna go clean that up real quick. I'll be right back. Fuck. Okay. So I don't want to hold this up because I can't find my little eyeshadow fixer. The little, the stamp, or whatever the hell you call it, that pushes the eyeshadow back down. So I've got a busted shade. Of course, it's the darkest shade in the palette. I have it all over my pants. It was all over my white leather chair. Yeah. This is the Heathland palette from Glam Shop. Again, it's a Polish brand. They have a lot of really beautiful special shades in their lineup. They're pretty affordable until you factor in the shipping. But anyway, this is that palette, and I'm gonna fix it because there's a shade right in the middle here, which you can't see. You know what? Screw it. There's a shade in the middle there. It is a holographic purple shade, and it's beautiful. And I wanna keep the palette, so we're gonna fix it at some point. I'm just gonna set it to the side right now. The other palette that I have from them is the Camo palette. I don't know why, like, words are escaping me tonight. Okay, good. Nothing's broken in this one. Another really beautiful palette. We've got a really stunning, like, chunky, glittery, flaky. There's a couple shades like that. They're just really beautiful. The mattes work really well. They blend beautifully. And this one is also not going anywhere. If you haven't tried Glam Shop and you don't mind paying outrageous shipping fees, check them out. That's the only reason why I stopped purchasing from them, because otherwise they're pretty affordable. This is the It's Belle Cosmetics Break the Rules palette, and I bought this because there was a lot of hype surrounding this one. It's an indie brand. It's just one of those, like, very sparkly, shiny, more like toppery type of shades. I think it's a really beautiful palette. I haven't used it enough. I bought it because of the hype and because I like these sparkly types of shades. But again, haven't gotten any kind of use out of it, so I'm definitely not getting rid of it. I need to use it some more. The Suva Beauty Saffron palette. This one almost bit the dust the last time I did a declutter. And if I'm just being honest with you, I don't think I'm ever going to get any kind of use out of this. I just, like, it's a beautiful little palette. It's an older one. Suva Beauty is well known for their, oh, it's still got like the, I never noticed that. They're well known for their Hydra liners. It's their cake liners. But they do have eyeshadow palettes. Actually, I have a couple from them. I just don't think I'm going to use this. And the quality isn't bad, but it's also not like, ooh, there's something so special about it that I can't wait to get in there and use it, you know? They're pretty enough satins, but just not revolutionary. So I'm actually going to get rid of this. I'm going to pass that along. Another one from Suva Beauty. This is their Block Party. And this has some really fun, bright colors in it. Pretty sure the last time I kept it specifically for like this hot pink and then this really deep teal, aquamarine, whatever you want to call it. Am I ever going to use this palette? Probably not. Look, this one also still has... it still has that on there. Wow. How did I never notice that? Holy shit. Do I want to keep you? Do I need to keep you? No. You know what? I don't think I need to keep that. I'm going to get rid of it. Next up is the Pure collaboration with the Trolls movie. Trolls World Tour. This is the Funk palette. Now, the entire reason I kept these little palettes was for the sparkly special shades that were in them. Because otherwise, the mattes are just not my favorite. They're more of like a mineral type of formula. So they've got that mica infused in it. So it's a little sparkly. Not sparkly. I don't know how to explain it. Shimmery, maybe? Just not my favorite type of matte formula. But there are some really pretty... I mean, they're pretty basic. I was going to say really pretty satins. There's really nothing that special about it. I'm not really sure now why I decided to keep it. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this now. Another Pure palette with Trolls. This one is their classical palette. And this one had a couple of shades in it that I really liked. This one up here was really like sparkly, shiny. You know, I'm attracted to the shiny. And a couple of other ones here. But again, it's just really, really basic. I don't need it. The Nomad Studio 54 Quad. So if you all saw me do my highlighter declutter, you saw me get rid of both of the highlighters that were a part of this collection. I just don't care for the formula of these products. They're really hard pressed. It's actually something that they came out and talked about when they released these products, that they were really hard pressed. I don't know if they made more after the fact and they ended up being of better quality, but these are so bad. Like, you might be able to tell by looking at it. They're so bad, you just can't get a whole lot of payoff. You really got to get in there, and even still, it's just really hard pressed. And I already have shades similar to all of these that are really great quality. Like, these are just not good. I don't know if you can tell by looking. So I'm gonna get rid of this now. I promise you, I'm not gonna declutter this entire drawer. I just hit a rough patch there. Next up is the Ace Beauté, or Beauté, I never know how to pronounce that. Their Grandiose palette. And I got this from a BoxyCharm way back in the day. Probably like three or more years ago. It's a pretty little palette. It's very basic. I definitely don't need it. I've got plenty of these tones elsewhere. I'm going to pass this along. Okay, the next set here is the Morphe and Jaclyn Hill. Her little collaboration here. We've got, was there 4 or 5? Why did I think there was 5? Let's just do one by one. We've got Bling Boss. Really pretty purple palette. And you know what? Now that I'm looking at this, it's like, why did we include this really bright purple? If you cover that one up, well, come on, Michelle, use your brain here. It's hard to do with the monitor. Like, that makes sense, right? All the tones play well together, and you got, bam, like a royal purple. Why? I'm not really sure why we did that. The rest are mauve purples. Anyway, do I need this? That's, okay, I know I don't need it. Do I want to keep it? That's the better question. So, like, now that I'm swatching some of these, a couple of them are a little hard pressed. Not all of them. There's some of the satins. I mean, they're okay. I think this is gonna, ooh, some of those are swatching really bad. I think this is one of those palettes, or maybe even collection, that I'm gonna keep in a box somewhere. I'm not gonna get rid of them. This is kind of like a part of makeup history. People either liked this collection or they really freaking hated it and had a lot to say. Now, when this collection first came out, I thought that they were really good. I didn't use them as much as I probably could have or should have, but that's because I have too many freaking eyeshadow palettes. But I didn't mind the quality at first, but now that I'm dipping back in, like even just swatching, And it could be that the quality's deteriorating. This is a little bit old now. It's just not... It's not wowing me when I'm touching the formulas here. So, anyway, I'm going to put this in a box. Not going to throw them away. Not going to declutter. We're going to keep it just for safekeeping, maybe for future reference. I also grabbed the Ring the Alarm. I mean, I picked them all up, but this is the Ring the Alarm. Just really basic, neutral color story. Again, gonna put that in a box. I have the Armed and Gorgeous. I think this is probably my favorite, just because the color story speaks to me. So pretty. I also think the quality in this one's not bad. Yeah, it's still not bad. Again, gonna go in a box. And then we've got the Dark Magic. I really wanted to love playing with this one because the concept, like the shades together, are so cool, in my opinion. But the quality is a little iffy on this one. Like that shade Power Cut, I just tried to get a swatch out of it. Super hard pressed. Just not anything special, and that would have been like one of my favorite shades in the palette if it would, you know, perform at all. I'm just throwing all kinds of shade around tonight, huh? Yep, I'm gonna put this in a box. I don't want to keep things in my main collection that I'm never gonna use. I don't want to, like, I want to be able to have things to reference every now and again if I'm talking about collections, or if we're doing like a trip down memory lane, or whatever the case may be. I want to keep things for that purpose, but I don't want them in my main collection that's going to take up space that I have to sift through every time I want to, you know, try to find something to wear. So that's kind of my logic behind having like a box for safekeeping somewhere. Quite honestly, if I wasn't a YouTuber and if I didn't make content, I would probably just get rid of those. Just being for real. Okay, the Jaclyn Hill palette volume number 2 with Morphe. I couldn't wait to grab this one. I really loved the fun, bright, summery colors in here. Like the really pretty bright orange and pinks and purples and that yellow. Like, I really thought this was a fun color story, and it is. I just haven't gotten any kind of use out of it. Like, I used it once or twice when I first got it, and that was about it. And God, now that I'm swatching, these shades are not, like, these satins are not swatching well at all. Like, I'm not getting any kind of payoff. This one's not bad, but the first three, I'm going to keep this in my main collection for now. This is her first palette with Morphe, and this was one of those iconic, everybody had to have palettes. And I bought it when I first got into makeup because it was so hyped up, and I swore I was going to use it all the time, and then I just didn't. I just didn't get into it that way, and I don't know why. I think it's a very practical palette. It's got a lot of shades in here that you can make a lot of beautiful eye looks with. I just never did it. Anyhow, I'm going to keep it. I'm actually going to keep this one in my main collection just because it's iconic. I need to, you know? I just have to. I have 2 little Dose of Colors palettes. I've got Snow Angels and Pretty Cool. Pretty Cool has these really cool toned browns in here. I don't know that I've ever used this, and if I did, it was probably one time for like one specific shade that I wanted to use. But I like having a selection of cool tone browns, so we're gonna keep it. And then Snow Angels, this was a very interesting color selection for a palette. I mean, you've got like 2 different themes you can kind of go with here. You can either go with the blue or like the pink, right? I mean, I guess you could mix the 2, but it's just kind of an odd array of tones, but I kind of like it, and I'm gonna keep it. I've got a couple palettes here from Laura Lee Los Angeles, the Nudie Patootie. And it's just a very basic bitch palette. It's got brown tones and some shimmery shades and some warmth to it. It's just very basic. I think I've used this once or twice. The quality is not bad. I would say it's average. And it does have some really pretty shades in here, so I'm going to hang on to it for now. Candy Skies. This is just a really pretty pastel rainbow palette with her niece, Erin Weaver. They collaborated on this one. It's got a sweet candy scent to it, which I think is really cute. And it's not a bad palette. I would say I had a good time playing with it when I was creating looks with it. There's some of the shimmer shades. They're okay. I'm going to hang on to it. I like it. By the way, every time I am really stressed, and I know no one's probably going to say anything, but I'm going to point it out because that's the kind of shit I do. This, like, monster right here on my chin, I didn't even know it was a cold sore. I thought it was a pimple, and I popped it, and it freaking spread everywhere. And now it's like a monster that's living on my chin, and I can't get rid of it. I'm just glad it hasn't made its way up to my lip yet. I'm really hoping it doesn't. But every time I'm super stressed and I'm going through a lot, you can always tell because I end up with a cold sore. And this has been like, I know sidebar here, but this has been a very difficult time in my life. I've got a lot going on, and that's what happens. They rear their ugly head, you know, as if to add insult to injury. Like, yeah, you going through a rough time? Like, how you like that? It's so cruel. Okay, let's move on. The Violet Boss I Love You Forever palette. How cute. Really beautiful green palette with some browns in there. I think this is pretty. I feel like I've used it once, maybe. I like the concept of it. The quality's okay, but am I going to use it? Probably not. You know what? I think we're going to go ahead and get rid of it. I don't think I'm going to use it. I just don't want to hang on to things just for the sake of hanging on to things, you know? This is the Ciate London The Velvet palette. I think I got this in a BoxyCharm, or an Ipsy, or something to that nature. I got it in a subscription box. I think it's a cute little palette. It's just, the quality's not, I don't know what to say about it. It's just nothing to write home about, but it's cute. Like, the color story's cute. I don't need it. I'm gonna get rid of it. The Give Me Glow Vivid Rose. I was so excited to have this palette, and then it got to me, and I lost some of that excitement, and I don't know why. I used it on camera. Oh, I know why. Because the eye looks that I created, I hated. What did I create? 2 or 1? I don't remember, but I did upload a video with me playing with this. I think it was like a chatty get ready with me or something like that. And I just was not happy with the direction that the eye look went. I kept trying to make it work, and I made it worse, and I kept making it worse. Like, it was tragic. Don't go back and watch that one. I'm not going to link it above. But anyway, I like it. Like, in theory, I like this palette. I just found it a little hard to use and to make it cohesive. Like, I didn't want to do the predictable eye look when you look at this. Like, you know, immediately I'm like, okay, well, I can use these 4 together, or I could use these together. Like, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to try something different, and it didn't work out for me. So, I like it. I don't think it's bad. It's got some, like, look how beautiful that is. It's got some really pretty shades in here. I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm going to make it my bitch. One of these days. Dose of Colors Friendcation. This was their collaboration with Desi and Katie. And I love this little palette. I think it's beautiful. Do I use it ever? Hell no. But I think it's beautiful, and I'm not going to get rid of it. I think it's got some really pretty sparkly shades in here. Look how pretty those are. I'm keeping it. Next up is the Morphe 15H. I think it's called the Happy Hour. Yeah, it is. I think I also got this in a BoxyCharm a long time ago. And I think it's a really pretty concept. It's got a lot of nice, like, corally shades, and I'm a sucker for coral. But do I need a bunch of browns and oranges? I don't know, man. Am I ever going to use this again? I just think it's so aesthetically pleasing, though, right? Like, isn't this a cute little palette? There's just something about it that makes me want to hang on to it. So I'm going to. That's my logic these days. Doesn't make much sense, but that's what we're going with. Another Morphe palette, the 35V, the Stunning Vibes. It's a beautiful palette. I just don't ever use the damn thing. Do I need to hang on to it? It is really pretty. I want to keep it. I just think it's so pretty. Another Morphe palette, the 35M. This one is the Boss Mood. And I love the shades in here. They're very, I was going to say funky. Like, I just think they're really pretty. And the shimmers in here are actually not bad. They've got sparkle in them, so it makes them a little bit more, like, multi-dimensional. Oh, they're starting to get hard pressed. No. But I think they're really, like, grungy and moody and pretty. And, yeah, I'm keeping it. Another Morphe palette. So, no matter how much I like or don't like this one, this is one that I'm going to keep for it's like a piece of makeup history, okay? I don't use it. Even when I first bought it, I think I used it like twice, and then it's just sat in my drawer. I think my daughter used it more than I did. Actually, I thought I gave her this. Did I give her this? How did it end back up in my drawer? I'm not sure. I could have swore I gave this to her. This is another one that's going to end up going in a box for content purposes, you know what I mean? Going back through, filming certain videos, so I'm going to take it out of my main collection, but it's going in a box. I think this is the last Morphe palette. At least I hope it is. The 39A, and this is their Dare to Create. The whole reason I kept this was for a select handful of shades, specifically this like grungier brown, This grungier brown green, some of like the brighter pinks. What else? Why did I keep this? There was a select handful of shades that I kept this for. I think what I'm going to do is depot some of these and keep the ones I like and get rid of the rest. So we're going to throw this in that pile, and I'm going to whittle this down to the ones that I actually want to keep, because I definitely don't need all of them browns, because I got plenty of brown in my collection. We're just going to cut the fat and keep what I like. Okay, these next two palettes are from Profusion, and I have the Wanderlust. I bought both of these from TJ Maxx. This was for $7, which is a good deal. It's just a rainbow palette. It smells cheap. It's just got this really distinct smell to it. Any kind of really cheap shadow, specifically I think it's the shimmers that smell like that. They just have this really distinct scent to them. And it's not necessarily a good scent. It's not a bad palette. I'm never going to use it, ever. So, I'm going to get rid of it. I think I used it like once. And then the other Profusion palette is the Chocolates. This one I tried in a video a long time ago. I did like a very basic neutral eye look with it, and I really liked the look that I created with it. I thought the quality was decent. I'm just not going to use this. I don't need... Like, look at all of these cream colored shadows up here. It's just very redundant. I'm going to get rid of it. Well, again, not bad. I just don't need it. Okay, so Bad Habit used to be a brand that would do like rip-off palettes or dupe palettes, to be nicer about it, of the higher end brands. So back when Bad Habit was really popular, I used to purchase like all of their palettes. It was cheaper. I liked comparing those to the higher end products. The ones I'm going to share with you, they were duping Pat McGrath, which in my opinion is a little ballsy. Bad Habit released a collection of palettes duping the Pat McGrath, like the... Let me grab one. They were duping these. And actually, I have the one that they were duping with this one. So, this is what the Pat McGrath palette looks like. This is what the Bad Habit palette looks like. So, you can see the similarities, right? And actually, see if you can see it. Actually, I did a video asking if you could spot the dupe. And I didn't tell you what I was using on what eye. And I created the same eye look with these palettes on each eye, right? And I could tell, obviously I'm the one that's doing the eye look, so I was a little biased, you know? But some people couldn't, and it was actually pretty interesting. But I will always prefer this. The Cult Mania from Bad Habit, it's not bad at all. I just don't need both. There's no reason why I need both palettes when I have the original, you know? So I'm going to pass that along. The second one, again, this is the original, the Pat McGrath. Really beautiful, unique color story. This is the Cult Mystere from Bad Habit. But obviously you can see it's a complete dupe. So I'm keeping the original. We're going to get rid of Bad Habit. Okay, moving on is the last in that collection that I own, and it is the Cult Mystics. I don't have the original for this, but I've had this for quite a while, and I do feel like the quality is deteriorating on these. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this one as well. All right. Look, I'm proud of myself. I'm doing a pretty good job here. I have two Sigma palettes. I've got the Untamed and the Enchanted. I don't know why these palettes come with these brushes. Every single palette I've ever owned that comes with brushes, the brushes just suck. They're just not good. Look, that's my personal opinion. I like Sigma brushes, but I don't like these. I don't like this. It's just a really generic blending brush. It's not, I would never use it. The end one, I would probably use that one for something. I wish they would just keep the brushes out of it and make the palette cheaper, in my opinion. Okay. Really beautiful. I love the color story in here, and I like the quality, and I'm going to keep it. The Enchanted palette, again, the brush can go. Same brush, different color. What? Actually, yeah, it's just very generic looking. Okay. Really beautiful palette. I like the shades in here. The only thing about these palettes is that their shimmers are really thin. Like, they're sparkly, but they're thin. The formula is really thin. Maybe it's supposed to be more of like a topper shade, I guess. I'm going to keep them regardless. Ooh, we're almost done with this drawer. That went pretty quick. Okay, the Wander Beauty Seascape. Wondrous Seascape. It's a cute little palette. It's not bad quality, but I don't need it. I've got these shades. Ew, some of those feel sticky. Yeah. Again, not bad. Don't need it. That's gonna go. Ooh, this one's still in the box. Probably because I haven't used it yet and I was considering selling it. This is the Aether Beauty Moonlight Crystal Palette. I got this in an Ipsy, was it Glam Bag Plus? Is that what the name of the big box is? I can't remember. Anyhow, I've swatched it. Why'd I bother keeping the box if I swatched it? I don't know. But that's what it looks like. I'm just never going to use this. I'm never going to use it. So we're going to part with that now. The Jouer Skinny Dip. This one is an older palette in my collection. And there's just something about the sparkly shininess of these shadows. I know it looks super boring. It is a little bit boring. But there's just something about some of these. Not even all of them. Some of them kind of suck. But look at this beautiful silver. It's very metallic. I know, like, ooh. Very shiny. There's a couple shades like that. This one's called Magic Hour. Again, very metallic and shiny. I don't know, man. I like a few of these shades. I don't think I can part with it. Very basic, but I like it. It's gonna be it's going back in the collection. So this next set of palettes kind of broke my heart a little bit. These are the Ace Beauté, the Paradise collection. We've got Blossom, Classical, Paradise Fallen, and Tropical Paradise. So I'm going to go through one by one. Or not Tropical Paradise. This is called Slice of Paradise. Okay, I made that one up. Sorry. It looks tropical. It's probably where I got that from. But the quality of the shadows in here is just not that great. This was before they reformulated. Recently, they reformulated. I've heard that the new formulation is top-notch, amazing. I've thought about replacing these with the new formula, but this was not a cheap collection. I'm pretty sure it definitely cost me over $100 for this collection. And I've had it for quite some time. See, like when you swatch it, it doesn't look bad. You know? Do I need to try it again? I don't think I'm ever going to. I'm just going to get rid of it. Wow, I can't believe I'm doing that. Paradise Fallen is a really beautiful purple color story. But again, I just don't remember loving the quality of these. See, it doesn't look bad when I'm swatching, though. Why didn't I like these? I feel like they didn't blend well together. There's a reason why I didn't like these, and I haven't used them since, so I'm just going to bite the bullet and get rid of them. The Classical Paradise. This one's very fall-toned, but again, not going to keep it if I'm not going to use it. Last but not least, Blossom Paradise. Or why do I keep saying that? Blossom Passion. Beautiful, pretty little palette. Not going to use it. I have two palettes from Carity Cosmetics with cat hair. The first one is the matte palette, and it is a rainbow palette. And I bought it because I just had to have it. You know, I was all about buying all the rainbow palettes. I'm still kind of all about buying rainbow palettes, but anyway. Yeah, I feel like these are just a little thin. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of it, guys. The Picante. Picante. Every time I see that, I think of paste picante. Like, pick up the paste, the salsa. Anyway, it's a really beautiful fall-toned palette. I used this in one of my first videos here on my channel, and I liked the look that I created at the time. Sometimes I go back and I'll watch, like, earlier footage, and it makes me cringe. Not only am I cringy in those videos, and I'm sure that I'll do the same thing, you know, several years from now with this video, but it's fine. But the eye looks, I've definitely progressed. My skill level has definitely gotten better over time. So at the time I liked the eye look. Not so sure I'd like it now, but the quality of the palette. Let me just do a couple swatches here. It's just that very generic type of shimmer formula. Kind of stiff, a little hard pressed. I just don't need it. You know, it's nothing personal about this palette. I just don't need it because I'm not going to use it. So I'm going to get rid of it. Wow. I legit just decluttered half of that drawer. So let me do a count real quick and I will let you know what it is. Whoa. Okay, so that drawer was very cutthroat, apparently. I'm decluttering 21 palettes and I'm keeping 23. So out of 44 palettes, 21 of those are taking a hike. Wow. That is crazy. I'm proud of myself, okay? I mean, I knew I was going to get rid of some, but that's a lot to get rid of out of one drawer. Now, not our drawers are going to go like that, obviously. Some are going to be a little harder to get rid of. We're going to be venturing into that territory here shortly because I've got a lot of really amazing indie palettes that I'm definitely not going to part with. I've just got certain palettes in general that I have, I don't know, I have an attachment to, I can't get rid of. I've got a really amazing palette collection, in my opinion. I've got some really great eyeshadow palettes, so we're going to keep going through those. I'm going to get to those here shortly. I'm going to put the ones I'm keeping back in my drawer, and we will get on to the next drawer. Okay, moving right along. The next palette that I want to share with you is from Pat McGrath, and this is her Bronze Ambition. I don't really like the packaging on these. I think it's just annoying, especially when it comes to actually using it. Really beautiful, basic, neutral color story. The quality is still good on these. I love Pat McGrath, as I said earlier, so it's not going to go anywhere. I guess for, like, you know, looking at it, it's pretty. But in terms of, like, functionality, come on now. I don't like the little clasp thingamajiggy. I don't like the way it's housed in here, like you can't get it out. I think it's pretty packaging, though. Just not very functional. But I'm going to keep it. I also have the Violet Voss, the Rainbow palette. Had to have this one when it came out. Can't remember who I saw using it or, you know, why I got it in my head that I needed it, but just a really pretty shimmer rainbow palette. They're all satins or shimmers or whatever you want to call them. And, you know, they're just not anything special now that I'm touching them. And it's just because I have really beautiful shades like this that are special. So these are just nothing. They're just not special. I'm going to get rid of it. Like, why do I need to keep it if I'm never going to touch it? The Urban Decay Naked Cherry. This one, again, with the shitty eyeshadow brushes. Like, why do we include them if no one's going to use them? Do you all use these types of brushes? I never thought they were good. Anyway, I used to love this when I first got it. I played with it a lot. I thought the quality was really good. I liked the different eye looks I got out of it. It's just a very basic mauve toned eyeshadow palette. It's nothing elaborate or revolutionary. I don't reach for it, but I'm definitely not going to get rid of it because it is one that I really did love and got a lot of use out of. So this is going to be one of those palettes that I put away in a box and I keep it for sentimental value. But that's where it needs to live. Yeah, do I need to put you back in my collection? I don't know where the hell I'm going to put it, okay? But I'm not getting rid of it. it's a little too late to be making important life decisions right now. I have the Pat McGrath Labs Celestial Divinity palette. This was a holiday release 2 years ago. I think that the tones in here are really beautiful. They're more like jewel tones. There's a lot of pretty satins and special shades, not like special shades like you find in her more expensive palettes, but they do have some really pretty shades in here, and I quite like this one, so I'm keeping it. This one I got from Influencer. This is another Pat palette, holiday release. This one is called the Celestial Odyssey, and I was blown away when Influencer sent me this palette. This one looks like more of like a spring themed palette with the tones. We've got like the lime green and the pink. We've got like this shade of blue, and it's just more vibrant, I would say. The other one definitely was more like rich in tone. I don't know. I don't like this one as much as I like the other one, but I still like this one. And it's still a Pat palette, so I'm keeping it. I even kept the box on this one. I don't know why. I'm going to throw the box away now. I usually don't keep cartons. Why? Why do I need to keep those? Now, like I mentioned earlier, you're going to see me getting rid of less and less because I'm venturing into drawers that contain some of my favorite palettes. So it just is what it is. Okay, I got rid of quite a bit so far. I think I just calculated 40 some palettes I've already gotten rid of. So that's not bad. That's actually really good. Next up is the Blend Bunny Cosmetics Blends palette. If you are not following Maggie, who is the owner of Blend Bunny, you need to go follow her. She creates some of the most gorgeous eye looks, and the fact that she created her eyeshadow brand, or just makeup brand in general, was very smart on her part because she knows what she's doing, and she just creates really beautiful palettes. So I grabbed this one. It is the Rainbow Palette of Your Dreams. They're all mattes. Stunning palette. Amazing quality. They blend beautifully. I really like this. Then they released the Surge palette, which is a little bit more, has a little more depth, got a little bit more going on in here than the other one. We've got pastels, neons, and you've got a row of shimmers, and then you got this row of really grungy, like deepening up shades. But again, the way that she created this, it just works well. They blend nicely. I just really, really like Blend Bunny. The Dollhouse palette is another one. This one is their neutral palette. Again, deepening up shades. You've got your shimmers down here, your pastels, some more like sparkly shades. I just feel like she's very smart about her palettes. They recently released another palette. I think it's called the Primal. I didn't grab that one because I feel like I don't need it. And I'm also at a place in my makeup journey where I'm trying to buy less and less. And I'm trying to get use out of what I have instead of spending money on new stuff constantly. So I didn't buy the Primal. I don't need it, but it is beautiful. And if you've been thinking about getting it, their quality is really, really good. Next up is the Adept Cosmetics Codan palette. And that's what it looks like. Really pretty, shimmery, sparkly shades. I love Adept Cosmetics. This is not going anywhere. Another from Adept. This is their Ninhydrin. And this has some really pretty blues and purples and like deeper tones. Lots of shimmery, toppery type of shades. Duochromes. Beautiful palette. Again, not going anywhere. One more from Adept. This is the Plain Jane palette. And this is kind of what kickstarted it all for Adept. I had Adept shadows before the Adept craze. I don't know if you're into indie makeup, but if you are, the Plain Jane is kind of what really put them on the map for people that didn't already know about them. The shadows in here are really sparkly and shifty and eye-catching, and I do have I have a video using this palette. Just really pretty shades. Not getting rid of it. Starting to get tired, y'all. We're not even through this drawer yet. So I am somebody that really loves Melt Cosmetics. Some of their quality is a little bit hit or miss. I'm aware of that. Not going to deny it. But I still love them nonetheless. I love their aesthetic. I love their color stories. I love the packaging. Like, Melt just kind of has my heart. Plus, they have amazing customer service. And when it comes down to it, that is really important in my eyes when you're dealing with a brand, when you're buying from a brand. So I do have a handful of palettes in here from Melt Cosmetics. Recently, I made my own, like, build your own palette with Melt Cosmetics palettes. Had a lot of fun doing that. If you didn't know, all of Melt's pans are removable. They're magnetic. I wish every brand did that with their palettes because you can rearrange it in a way that makes sense to you. You can make your own palettes with their shadows. I just think it's really smart. So I love the fact that these are all removable. Anyhow, this is their 420 palette. A lot of people said the quality of this one was not good. I really haven't had that experience yet, but I also haven't used it enough to be able to speak on that. So I bought this because I've been wanting this for a long time. It's such a beautiful palette, and it's not going anywhere. The Gemini is the palette that first sold Melt Cosmetics to me. I think the first person that I saw use this was Raw Beauty Christy, and she was raving about it. And then I saw other people raving about it, and I was like, you know what? I gotta find out what all this hype is about Melt Cosmetics Gemini. So I bought it for my birthday like 3 or 4 years ago, and that's kind of what sold me on Melt. I love this. I think it's gorgeous. I've used it a lot. The Mary Jane palette. This one was a little disappointing to me. The mattes are really good, but I felt like the shimmers in here are very hit or miss. Specifically the ones on the end here. They're very, how do I want to put it, chunky. They're chunky and there's not much payoff to them. You really got to like get in there, and even then, it's just, they're not that good. Some of them are really great though. Like the denser shadows are really pretty. I like the concept, the neutrals, the sparkliness. Mary Jane I could care less about. I'm not a smoker, but I like the color story. I like the fact that it's neutrals and glam, and it's still pretty. Next up is the Smoke Sessions. This was the second palette that I bought from Melt. And again, I love a green color story. I'm a sucker for green eyeshadow. It's got some really beautiful tones in here. Again, the shimmer shades are kind of where they're lacking. Some of them are really beautiful and opaque and shiny, and then some of them are kind of splotchy, just not as good. But I still love this palette, not getting rid of it. She's in Parties. This one is just a really pretty, grungy, purpley, burgundy color story. I did a review on this one and I wasn't exactly thrilled about it just because a lot of these tones are super similar. Like, I don't know why we felt the need to do 2 of this shade. Like, one has more sparkle, but they're essentially the same exact tone. And then even like these 2, like, sure, they're different, but they're the same tone. And then this one's got a little bit more like red in there, but I just felt like there was just too much samey same going on with this, you know? It's not terrible. I do like it still, and I'm definitely not going to get rid of it. I just wish that there was a little bit more variety to it. Another Melt palette. This is the, Amor y Mariposas. And this one was a little bit different, you know. It's the bigger format, round pans. These are still removable, though. It's got a really nice mirror in here. I feel like the shimmers in here, same. They're either decent or they're really not good. And I don't know what it is about Melt's shimmer formula. I wish they would get that shit together, because if they did, they would be unstoppable. I think it's a really beautiful color story. I liked playing with it. Not getting rid of it. Is that all the Melt? I do have more palettes sitting up here that are like in a special area of my room. They're kind of on display. So I'll get to that towards the end. There's some of my favorites. They're obviously not going to go anywhere, but for right now, we're going to keep moving along with this drawer. The September Rose Slush palette. Now, the artwork is what drew me into this palette. That and the bright, colorful eyeshadows. Look at that. It's like tropical, summery. It's beautiful. And I never really used it. I think I've swatched, well, I've definitely swatched it numerous times over, but I've never really put it on the eyes, and I don't know why. Well, probably because I have so many palettes. But I think it's beautiful. I don't want to get rid of it yet. I've been saying that for the past couple years. Every time I do a declutter, I hang on to this one with the intent of using it, and then I don't use it. And I'm going to do it again. Because I'm frustrating. The next one is the Lime Crime Venus XL. This is a palette that I never really cared for. I know there was a lot of people that loved this one when it came out. I just feel like, I don't know what it is. I don't know. Something about these tones. I feel like I need to get some use out of this. I don't even know how many times I've used this. I feel like not that much. And you know what? If I don't use this in the next couple months, then I'm going to depot the shades I like, and then we're just going to call it a day, because that has almost kicked the curb in several declutters, and for whatever reason, I keep holding on to it. It's getting to that point where it either needs to go, or I need to disassemble some of it and keep the shades I like, whatever. You're on your last leg, Venus XL. Okay, Lunar Beauty Eternal Eclipse. I love this palette. It's really beautiful. It's basic. Well, it's basic and it's not basic. You've got this really beautiful row of like deep grays, the blue gray. You can deepen it up with this black. You've got some really pretty shimmer shades up here that are super sparkly. You've got that row of like mid-toned warm neutrals. It's just an easy palette to use, and really it is super versatile. You can come up with a lot of different eye looks for this, and I love it. And I love the packaging. Manny absolutely kills it with the packaging, always. I also have the Moonspell palette from Lunar Beauty. This one comes out like that, and it looks like a little book, you know. Moonspell, like a spell book. Anyway, I gotta be honest with you. I like this palette, but I don't love it. I bought this one because I heard certain people raving about it, and I bought into the hype. But you know what? I've used it twice? No, I've used it more than that. I've used it a couple times, and I just don't find myself reaching for this one. I'm not going to get rid of it. I still think it's really beautiful. I definitely think I need to get more use out of it, though. The Milani Most Loved Mattes. I kept this because it is a basic matte palette. It's got brown and orange and pink. It's very, very basic. And I think I kept this because it was like, well, I wanted a drugstore option, you know? I wanted to have a variety of you know, high-end luxury drugstore, indie. I wanted a variety of all of those things, which is why I kept certain palettes. But if I'm never going to use it, like, why am I hanging on to it? The quality does not feel bad at all. Like, at all, at all. See, I go swatching and then I want to keep it, but I'm not going to use it. I need to part ways. We need to do it, Milani. This is goodbye. Okay, I do have quite a few Juvia's Place palettes, but before we get into those, I bought the NARS Extreme Effects palette off of Mercari. Pretty. Very pretty. I think I used it once so far. I don't know why. Like, why did I buy it, man? Why? I definitely didn't need it, but I wanted to try the NARS eyeshadow formula because this is the first and only NARS eyeshadow palette that I have. So I definitely need to get more use out of it. I think I used it once. I really don't remember, and I don't remember what I thought about it, so maybe I didn't use it. I don't know. But I'm going to hang on to it and at least form some kind of opinion before I do anything with it. I have the Colourpop Rock Candy palette. I did a video where I used this as well as a bunch of other Colourpop products, and I really enjoyed the eye look that I created with this. I like the fact that you've got some pinks, grays. I think pink and gray make a really good color combo. They just work really well together. So yeah, it's not going anywhere. I really liked it. And then I have the Sample Beauty, the Paradigm Shift palette. I bought this back before Sample Beauty perfected their formula, let's just put it that way. And I just don't think that the quality of these, well, I feel like they're a little thin. Yeah, like you go to blend and they blend right away. So as much as I think that this is really pretty, like there's a lot of beautiful colors in here, I'm not going to use it. So I'm going to get rid of it. Sample Beauty is an indie brand. They have a lot of palettes now, but when I bought that one, I think that was their main palette, or like their second palette. So they've definitely grown since I bought that. I bought that at least 2 or 3 years ago. I just literally never use it, and just needs to go. We're going to get through these Juvia's Place palettes, and then we're going to hang it up for tonight because I'm exhausted. The Nubian. This is, I believe, Juvia's Place first palette. And if not, it's one of their first popular palettes. I feel like I got this in a BoxyCharm. No, I bought this one. I think, I don't remember. It's just a very basic brown toned neutral palette. It's got shimmers in here. It's just nothing super special, but I'm always hesitant to get rid of Juvia's Place palettes because I think the quality's really good. I just don't ever use this mug. See, it's still good. Nope, I'm keeping it. This next palette is probably my favorite from Juvia's Place. This is their Nubian 3 Coral. Look how pretty. Again, I have this affinity towards gray and pink, or even gray and coral. They just play really well together. And any eye look I've created with this palette, I've absolutely loved. It's just so beautiful, and it's not going anywhere. I love that palette. Next up is the Afrique by Juvia's Place. This one has some really bright, fun primary colors in here. I don't really use it. I think that the artwork on these is really pretty. That's kind of what initially catches your eye to this kind of palette. But in practicality, am I ever going to use these shades together? Probably not. But I have a hard time parting with it, so we're going to keep it. Okay, we've got 4 more palettes in this drawer, and then I'm going to be done for the night. This is the Festival. And again, I really like the artwork on the outside. Really interesting. But the inside is just not a color story that I find myself reaching for. It's just different, you know? And not a bad different. This might speak to a lot of people. Color story just really doesn't speak to me. So this kind of makes me feel like maybe I should just take the shades out of here that I like and get rid of the rest. I don't know what I want to do. Like, I don't see myself using the satins in here. They're just not... They're nothing revolutionary. The quality's like, meh, it's okay. Plus, it's an older palette, so it's kind of degrading a little bit. But some of these mattes are really pretty. And Juvia's mattes are amazing. Like, look at those. So, I feel like I want to hang on to this for now. And maybe I'll cherry pick the shades out here that I want to keep. I'm just not quite ready to declutter it right now. Then I have the Masquerade Mini. Some fun shades in here. I hate the matte shades with the sparkles. They just floof away. You all have heard me say that time and time again. If you've been here for a while, you've heard me say it. I said what I said. They're just not good, okay? They I don't know what purpose they serve. As soon as you start blending, poof, the sparkle's gone. So there's 2 of those shades in here like that. We do have some pretty solid, like, shimmer shades or satins or whatever you want to call them. And then we've got a couple mattes in here. I just don't feel like this is a palette I'm ever going to reach for. I don't reach for it. I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one. The Magic Mini. Again, this one's got some really pretty shimmer shades in it. Some duochromes, some mattes. This one I like better than the Masquerade. I'm going to keep this one. Last but not least, the Wahala. I really like this palette. It's got a couple of multi-chromes in here. Really pretty. It's got some glitters that I'm not exactly thrilled about. 3 to be exact. 3 pressed glitters. 1, 2, and 3. So, not going to use those. But the other shades in here are really beautiful. They're good quality. And yeah, the mattes are really good. So, I'm going to keep it. So, this drawer, I obviously have much less that I'm decluttering. I'm going to count those up now and recap with you. And then the next time you see me after that will be another drawer, another day. It's getting late. I'm tired. I'm starting to feel really loopy. So, be right back with the totals from this drawer. We are keeping 28 palettes and I'm decluttering 4. Not as good as the last drawer. We got rid of a lot the last time. So, I got a little excited and got rid of a lot. But there's more in this drawer that I want to hang on to. And again, moving forward, that's how it's going to be because I've got a lot of great palettes in my collection. I'm happy with that. I feel like the ones that I kept, I'm happy about. So anyway, the next time you see me, it's going to be a different face, a different drawer, a different day. See you when we get to the next drawer. Okay, new day. Let's get into it. This drawer onward is going to be very difficult to let go of things because it's a lot of the palettes that I really cherish for one reason or another, whether it's quality, memories, the collectionism. You know, I like to collect certain brands, and I can't guarantee I'm going to be getting rid of a whole lot of palettes from the next 2 drawers, but I at least want to share them with you because, again, this is an eyeshadow palette collection and declutter video. I've already gotten rid of quite a few. I'm pretty happy about the ones that I've decided to part with, so let's get into this next drawer. It's a lot. Actually, before I get into the drawer, I do have several little areas around my room that has palettes. I've got a little stand on top of my dresser that's got palettes that I want to showcase for one reason or another, whether it's I really like that palette, I like the way the packaging looks, I like using it, it's expensive. I've got Pat McGrath up there, so there's several different palettes I have sitting up there. Let's go through those first. I'm not going to be getting rid of any of them. They are sentimental, or again, I really like them for one reason or another. Okay, so first up is the Melt Muerte palette. So if you're into the indie makeup scene or you're really into eyeshadows, you've probably heard this was discontinued for a long time. They finally brought it back. I think it sold out within 3 days. It's just a very unique color story. The packaging is beautiful. And I didn't buy this on the first go round. I bought it recently when they did their restock. So it's one that was like the one that got away. A lot of people felt like that. So I went ahead and grabbed it because who knows if it'll ever come back. And I really love Melt Cosmetics. They're one of my favorite eyeshadow brands in terms of their creativity, their color stories, their packaging. Like, they just kill it in that department. So had to grab it. Obviously not going to be getting rid of it. I used this palette on my eyes today along with some singles from Cleona and Terra Moons. And I just think it's such a beautiful, unique color story. So, yeah. Right behind that is the Gemini 2. This one came out probably 4 or 5 months ago, something like that. It's kind of a basic palette when you look at it in terms of, like, tone. There's a lot of the same tone of pink. I feel like we could have gotten rid of, like, 2 of these pinky shades and put something else in there. But I love the overall theme of this. I like the fact that it's, it's like rose themed. It's got the rose colors. We've got like brown and green and red. I just like the fact that it's, this is unique. This is different. I don't have any other palettes that look quite like this. So had to pick it up. I think it is beautiful. I've used it a couple times. I've really enjoyed the eye looks I've created with it. So that's that. Vanity Makeup, the Signature Palette. So Vanity Makeup is a brand that was created by a fellow YouTuber and content creator. And she's come out with a couple of products, and I haven't checked her website recently, but this was one of those products she released, and it is one of my favorite basic palettes. It's basic, but it's also very glam. The quality of the mattes, top-notch, great quality. They blend well, great pigmentation. The shimmers are very shimmery and just good quality. You can have a very basic, toned down look. You can do something with a little bit more pizzazz because you got that sparkle. I just really love this palette. It's easy to use. And again, really great quality. Plus the packaging is 10 out of 10. It's very sturdy. Kind of reminds me of the Pat McGrath packaging. Not quite as luxe, but it is still really nice. The Patrick Ta Major Dimension 2. I like the packaging on this. It's very reflective, kind of mirror-like. But it's a very basic rose tone palette, but the shimmers are really nice. They're extremely sparkly and eye-catching, and it's super easy to use. Kind of like all the good things I said about the last palette I showed you is kind of how I feel about this. I don't really care for the fact that it's got these cream shadows in here. I'm not going to use them. It's one thing to be a cream to powder, but a straight up cream shadow, I just don't typically use cream shadows or creams on the eyes in general, so those I won't get any use out of, but the rest of the palette is beautiful. And again, the packaging is really nice. As I showed you earlier in the video, I do have several Pat McGrath Labs palettes, the big clunky the luxe ones. They all have a lot of fingerprints on them, but this one is, I just realized they don't have the names on them, so I can't remember what the names are. I'm just going to flash them for you really quickly. Not getting rid of them, obviously. Beautiful palettes. This one's the one that I've gotten the least amount of use out of. I don't know why. I just don't use it. I just like looking at it, apparently. And then this one is Divine Rose 2. I know that. And this is just such a beautiful rosy neutral. It's got this multi-chrome down here. I don't know if I can get you to see all the wonder of it. It's pink and it's got that green flip to it. Just really beautiful. I mean, I probably have this one 10 times over in my singles collection, but I like the fact that that's Pat McGrath. She's got a way with these beautiful, sparkly, shimmery shades. It's kind of what her bigger palettes are known for. But again, I love the packaging. This rose gold theme's beautiful, and it's a fun palette to use. Next up from that little display rack is the Nude Prism from Lunar Beauty. And again, Lunar Beauty, the packaging, 10 out of 10. I think this is so beautiful. And it's just a very basic neutral color story. I like this. I just don't find myself reaching for it a whole lot. Mainly because I have other neutral palettes where I really gravitate towards for the mattes. And the middle row here, these shimmers, there's just way too much redundancy, in my opinion. I feel like we could have switched it up just a little bit through there. Like, why not add a deeper, like, gray or, I don't know. I just feel like we've got coppery, rose gold, deeper copper. You know what I'm saying? It's just very, like, when you swatch them out, there's just not enough variation to really be able to tell too much difference, especially when it gets on the eyes. I still think it's a beautiful palette. It's great quality. I really like it. I just wish there was a little bit more variety with those shimmers. Still from that rack is the Dominique Cosmetics Transitions palette. And this is an amazing, great quality staple palette in my collection. Anytime I'm looking for neutrals to use and I want something just easy that I can dip into, I've got, you know, gray and black, I've got brown, I've got the rosy tones, we've got the more mustardy, warm tones. This is just super simple and I love having it in my collection. It is definitely one of my favorite basic palettes, so that's why I keep it up on display. This next palette I keep on display because the packaging is beautiful and I love what's inside. This is the Hela or Gila palette from Odin's Eye. This is their collaboration with Angelica Nyqvist. I've been watching Angelica for a long time, at least several years now, and it's been really amazing watching her grow from, I feel like she had like 30-some thousand when I started watching her. It was on the lower end, and now she's got over 100,000. It's kind of like motivation, inspiration for me to keep creating. And I love the fact that she does indie makeup and she does colorful makeup because that's all stuff that I love too. And this is just a freaking stunning palette. I mean, look at this. Great quality. I love the multi-chrome, the duochromes in here. They're beautiful. The mattes are very beautiful, pigmented, easy to work with. It's just a beautiful palette. And I'm excited for her. I think that's awesome that she was able to collaborate with Odin's Eye and made such an amazing palette. Next up from that stand is the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz. I love the packaging on this. I just think it's eye-catching and beautiful. And I really love the inside as well. It's a fun palette to use. We've got, you know, those more mauve-y tones, the taupes. It's just fun. It's got some really pretty duochrome, sparkly shades. I don't really care for that crazy balmy, whatever that is there. It's just not good. I don't use that. I'm half tempted to scrape it out of there and put something else in its place. But I love the palette itself. It is beautiful. I just realized I have a lot sitting on display up there. Okay. Next up is the Butte Bean and Shroud It's Freakin' Bats palette. This is such a fun, unique color story. This was like a nightmare palette to get a hold of. It was one of those items that was so high in demand, and I don't think they really anticipated just how much they were going to sell. So when I first purchased it, it was going to be like 4 or 5 months before I actually got it, and I just was being impatient. I didn't want to wait that long, so I ended up canceling my initial order, and then they restocked after the new year, and I went ahead and purchased it then and got it within like a month, I think it was. So again, very unique. I don't have any other color story quite like this. Great quality. It's been a lot of fun to use the several times that I've used it, and I think it's cute. And I've also been subscribed to Butte Bean, or I think she's Batty Bean now, Betty Jean, for a while. So it's exciting that she was able to collaborate with, you know, a fun brand, make a really amazing palette. So I love having that. Next up that's on display is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Nouveau palette. And this is such a unique, different kind of color story from Anastasia Beverly Hills. I really like this. There's some unexpected shades in here that are a lot of fun to play with, like the shade Peacock down here. It looks like that typical brownie green type of duochrome, and it is, but when you blend it out, it's something different. I just feel like, I mean, it still is, don't get me wrong, but look at that red undertone to it, or that like brick red undertone to it. It just makes for a really interesting shade to use on its own, because it's almost like the edges blend out to a matte. Not really, but they blend out to a solid color. I don't know how to explain it. It's a really unexpected but cool shade. And I really like the other shades and tones in here as well. They play really nice together. So I didn't think I was going to love this as much as I do. I mean, I wanted it. I bought it, obviously, but I like it even more than I thought I was going to. Next up from my stand, and this is mainly up there because it fit in the little spot that was left over after I put all the other palettes in there, and because I do like this. This is the Huda Beauty Medium Nude Palette. I did make a video with this way back when. If you're interested in these little palettes, they are good. They're easy to use. Some of them are better than others. I really liked this one specifically. I think that all of the shimmer shades in here are really nice, good quality. The mattes play well together. I feel like there could have been a little bit more variety tonally. Like, we don't need these two shades here. We could have switched up one of those for something a little bit, you know, either lighter or deeper, one or the other. But anyhow, this is a really nice palette. I love having it, and it's not going anywhere. All right, we got two more palettes that were sitting up there. This is the Natasha Denona Gold Palette, and this is an iconic palette. It's the first, is this the first one I bought? Now I'm questioning myself, I can't remember. I feel like this was the first Natasha Denona palette I bought. I don't want to lie to you. One of the first, let's put it that way. I don't use it as much now, but I made a very good point of using it when I first bought it because this is not a cheap palette. I don't even know if this is available anymore. But it's really beautiful. It's definitely not going anywhere. And it definitely sparked or continued my love for Natasha Denona. Really great quality. I also have the Natasha Denona Sunset Palette. And this is one that I picked up because it was on sale. And I don't think I've ever used it. I think I got this half off. They were doing some sort of sale either on their website. Was it on their website or Sephora? I can't remember. It's a beautiful palette. It's the typical sunset colors. Great quality. There's literally nothing wrong with it. I just haven't used it. And it's also not that old to me. I think I bought it like 4 or 5 months ago. Okay, was that all from that stand? I believe so. But since we were just talking about Natasha Denona, I'm going to continue on that trend with the rest of my Natasha palettes. The Retro palette. This is one of my favorite from her. I just really love the tones in here. The mauves, the rosy shades. We've got a little bit of, I was going to say burgundy. You've got like 1 or 2 burgundy shades. They just play really nice together. Goes well with my green eyes. I just love this palette. I also have the Glam. This is another favorite of mine. Super simple to use. If I want to come up with a pretty neutral eye look and I want it to be easy, I can reach for this palette and definitely achieve that without too much effort. So, again, great quality, exactly what you would expect from Natasha. I don't like how it's doing that. It didn't do that before. I wonder why it's doing that. It's kind of driving me crazy. I don't think any of my other palettes do that. I also have the Love palette. I bought this one several years ago. I think it's a really beautiful palette. I love having it. I just don't get any kind of use out of it. I really need to make a better effort out of using the palettes like this that are just sitting around because they're too expensive to just sit around and collect dust. And again, it is really beautiful and great quality, so I just have too many eyeshadow palettes, so a lot of them don't get used. I have the Bronze palette. By the way, this is her midi sized, so these are all $65 a piece, and I think that's an absolute steal for Natasha Denona shadows. Some people might tell you that they're overrated or, you know, they don't understand the hype. I'm not one of those people. I think Natasha has great quality, amazing color stories, and I really love her eyeshadows, so that's just me. I would have called this like the Copper palette. This isn't exactly bronze to me. When I think bronze, I think of more like dirty, not gold, obviously, but not really this. This is more coppery in my opinion. Anyhow, I think it's beautiful. I love having it. I keep saying that these are my favorites. This is also a favorite, so I do have least favorites for Natasha. And actually, the Zendo is one of my least favorites. So I did a video with this. I've used it a couple times. And it's just something about, I don't know if it's the shades or if it's the quality. I feel like it's a little bit of both. There's a couple shades in here that are really hit or miss. And I wasn't exactly overly thrilled about the color story either. So it's not a terrible palette. I would still recommend it if you like the color story. It's just not my favorite from Natasha Denona. I have the Sunrise palette. And this is just like a sunrise, you know. You've got the yellow and the orange and the hot pink and whatever. It's a really beautiful palette. Can make a lot of pretty eye looks with this. I love having it. And that's that. I have the Metropolis palette. This is one that I really contemplated for a while before picking it up. It's expensive. I think this one's like $125 or $129, something like that. But it's got a lot of beautiful colors in here. You can make a lot of eye looks with it. I definitely don't use it as much as I should, given how much I paid for it, but not getting rid of it. Okay, now we are moving along to the contents of the next drawer, and it's quite a bit, so let's just get started. First up is the Glam Light Street Taco palette. I did a video with this several years ago now, and I had a lot of fun playing with it. There's a lot of really pretty bright colors in here. I really like this bright lime green, this pretty purple, the orange. The only thing is I have these shades in other palettes easily. I don't like the fact that it's hard to store. I think it's cute. It's a little taco, but I don't know that I necessarily need this. Do I need it? I really like some of the shimmers in here. Look at those. Oh my, especially the purple and that green. Ooh, I think I need to hang on to this. Those are really beautiful. It kind of makes me want to pluck those shades out of this palette and get rid of the actual, like the rest of the palette. I'm not fully decided on what I want to do, but like, look at those shades. I need to keep it. Let's move on. I picked up the Ace Beauté Nostalgia palette recently. Lots of fun, bright colors. I picked this up off the BoxyCharm website because they do their drop shop every couple months or so, and everything is super discounted. I'm not a BoxyCharm subscriber anymore, but what they do, I think they open the drop shop to their current subscribers first, and then like a week later they let everyone else shop it. And they have a lot of good deals on there, and I think this was like half off or 2/3 off. I can't remember, but I didn't pay much for it. I think I paid $8 or $9 for it. And I haven't used it yet. I really wanted to try their new formula because I've tried the original Ace Beauté formula and it wasn't exactly my favorite. So I bought that to try the new formula. One day I will. It just hasn't happened yet. Next up is the Glam Light Red Velvet Cupcake palette. Glam Light has this really cute food themed packaging. It's like an oven, and if you open it up, there's the cupcake. It's a little bulky and gaudy, but I think it's kind of cute. I like the fact that on the front, it's got like little sprinkles in the cupcake here that move. Now, when I first got this palette, I was a little bummed because if you think about red velvet, it said it was red velvet cake inspired, but it doesn't really look like that to me on the inside. It looks more pink and purple. We've got one red shade, but if you take the red shade away, like, it's more pink and purple, you know what I mean? So, I don't hate this palette. It's decent quality, and I had fun using it, and I can create some really pretty eye looks with it. I just wish it was more true to a red velvet inspired palette. Not getting rid of it. Okay, next up in here is the Glam Light Wine palette. And I purchased this along with their Dirty Martini. Is that what it's called? Dirty Martini? And I never used this one. I still don't think I've used this one. And if I did, I might have used like one shade out of it or something. But I have contemplated selling it. I don't know if anybody would even be interested in buying it. So I would like to create at least one eye look with it. It was just something about the tones. Like the darkest shade in the palette is this one. I wouldn't necessarily use this for a deepening shade for all of the looks. I don't know. There's just something about the tones in here that threw me off a little bit. I don't know why, but I've never used it. I would still like to, so I'm going to keep it. Again, I had also grabbed this one, Dirty Martini. Now, I did a full dedicated video on this palette. This one I love. If you didn't already know, I am a huge lover of green eyeshadow. I think I've mentioned that in this video already. But this is a green eyeshadow lover's dream. Beautiful, amazing, great quality. Shimmers are really pretty, so I really enjoyed using that one. I also recently picked up the Michaela Pot 2. Michaela from TikTok, she has several palettes now, well, 2 palettes now. 2 of the bigger palettes with Glam Light. This is her second one, her second collection. And I think it's a really beautiful green-themed palette. It's got some purples and blues in here. The shimmers are really nice and sparkly. And haven't used it yet. So I need to get some use out of it, obviously. I also have her first collection with Glam Light. And this one has a little bit more versatility in terms of like the different shades. We've got neutrals, orange, pink, green, purple, blue, yellow. Like there's a lot of versatility here. I think it's a really beautiful palette. I've definitely not gotten enough use out of it. You all are probably really sick of hearing me say that, but it's just true. When you have over 200 eyeshadow palettes, you don't have time to use all of them as much as you'd like to. But I think it's a really pretty palette. It's good quality, and I'm not getting rid of it. I have the Ice Cream Dream palette. This one was supposed to be more of like their pastel palette, but when you look at it, I wouldn't exactly call these pastels, right? Like, sure, they're lighter in color, but they're not exactly pastels. Really pretty. I really love the tones in here. The shimmers are really great. I really do like it, though. I'm not getting rid of it. I have so many more to go through, and I'm getting tired. You all have probably seen like 4 or 5 makeup changes throughout this video, but it's a lot to talk about all of these palettes in one video. I just feel for you all having to sit here and watch this whole thing. I mean, you don't have to, but... Okay, next up in this drawer is the Too Faced Born This Way Sunset Stripped. And this is just a really pretty neutral palette. And it's got this odd, like, perfume scent to it. And it's kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it doesn't smell good, but I can't stop smelling it. I don't know how to verbalize how I feel about it. But I think it's a really beautiful palette. It's good quality. Very neutral. Definitely not getting rid of it. I have the BH Cosmetics Summer in Saint Tropez. And this is one I picked up probably like 2 years ago now. And I really had every intention on using it, and I still don't think I've used this palette. There's a couple of colors in here that really like scream my name, like this really tropical punch kind of blue, this pretty reddy orange down here, or orangey red, or whatever you want to call it. This really pretty like marigold shade. There's some really beautiful colors in here. I just don't know if I'm ever going to use this. Do I need to keep this? I feel like the satins are already starting to degrade a little bit in quality. I think I'm going to end up plucking shades out of here that I want to keep and then decluttering the rest of it because, again, there are some shades that are really beautiful, so I'm not going to get rid of it quite yet. I also have the BH Cosmetics Blueberry Muffin Palette, and I did use this one. I've used it a couple times now. BH is a brand that is super affordable, but they have really great quality, fun color stories. I really think they're underrated. I really like this palette. Next up is the Unearthly Cosmetics Sleepover Palette. And this is an indie brand that I don't have a lot of experience with. This is the only palette that I own from them. I've used it twice now, I think. Really fantastic quality. I just really like this palette. I think it's beautiful. I love the fact that it's pink, but it's got enough versatility in here that you can really have like a really grungy kind of pink look, or you can do something a lot lighter. I really like this. The only critique that I have about this palette specifically, I don't like the fact that the pans are so large. I mean, these pan sizes are like blush sizes, in my opinion. I don't need that much eyeshadow from any one color, ever. I'm never going to use that much. And maybe some people would, especially if, you know, if you don't own as many palettes as I do. That would make sense if you would wanted bigger pans. But the average consumer, I don't feel like needs these gargantuan eyeshadow pans. I feel like we could save a lot of money if we narrowed it down a little bit and made the pan sizes smaller, but I do love the color story. I have the Perception palette from Midas Cosmetics. This was their collaboration with the Basic Bee, and I think Midas either rebranded or shut down or both. I haven't looked into it enough, but they're, again, an indie brand, and I really like some of the shades in here. Do I need to keep the whole palette? I haven't decided. I might do the same thing with this one and pluck out the shades I like and get rid of the rest. I'm not sure yet, but it's going back in the drawer for now. I have the Gimme Glow Pastel Dreams palette. This is one that came out during springtime, I think, of last year. Or was it springtime of the year before that? I can't remember. But again, the large pan sizes, I don't need pan sizes this big. I really like the pastel theme. I think that their shimmer formula is really beautiful. I have other shadows from Give Me Glow. Like, look, they're so pretty. I do have experience with Give Me Glow before I bought this. So I haven't used the pastels in this one. The mattes. Which is stupid. Like, I don't know why I buy palettes that I just never use. But I do enjoy the fact that I have it and then I can pick from this if I want to. I just need to get some use out of it. Okay, this next palette I thought I decluttered, and maybe I did. Maybe I decluttered it in my last declutter video, and for some reason it ended up back in my drawer. This is the Kylie, is this the Burgundy palette? I think it's called the Burgundy palette. And it's just different shades of burgundy. And this was just a palette that I just never really... It's not bad. Like, the quality isn't bad. And I don't really mind the tones, but it's not one of those palettes where I feel the need to reach into. Like, I feel compelled to use it. So I'm actually going to go ahead and get rid of this one. Like, once and for all. I gave it a second chance for whatever reason, and I take it back. I just don't need it. I have the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde. I bought this for my birthday one year, several years ago. And I think it is a beautiful palette. I love her packaging. I mean, it's kind of like it's her face on the front. Like, okay, I get it. But I love the colors, the purple and like the pastel and the pink. It's holographic, but the inside is what has my heart. These really pretty shimmery shades, sparkly. They're just fun. They're kind of losing their quality a little bit. Interesting. But I do still really love this, and I'm not getting rid of it. Also from Huda Beauty is her new nude palette, and I did a video with this way back when. It's a good palette. I just don't ever reach for it. It's a lot of rosy tones. Mauves, rosy tones. It's got these glitters in here that I don't like. It's got this really odd concealer shade that I've never used that I wish that they wouldn't include. But the rest of the palette is really good. I just don't ever use it because I got too many eyeshadow palettes. What initially attracted me to this palette are those fun, like, marbled shades. And I think most people will tell you that. And, you know, once you put your finger in there, that's what they look like. They're just typical shimmery satin shades, but they're still beautiful. And, yeah, we're hanging on to that one. I bought several palettes from Menagerie Cosmetics. Menagerie is an indie brand. And the first palette I bought from them was their collaboration with Annette's Makeup Corner. This is the Serenity palette. And I think they only made like 300 of these or 3,000 of these. I can't remember what the number was. But I was extremely excited when I was, one of the people that was able to get a hold of it. I got it on their very first launch. And it was my very first palette from Menagerie, like I already said. I think they're really fantastic quality. I love the shimmers in here. I like how colorful this palette is. It's just a little hard for me to use because I'm not exactly the most skilled with different color combinations, but I still have fun playing with it nonetheless, and I love the fact that I have it, and I really love watching Annette. I think she does a fantastic job, and I think it's exciting that she got to collaborate with such a cool brand. The next order that I placed with them, I grabbed 2 palettes. Now, Menagerie is one of those brands where you never know when things are going to be in stock, and you think you're going to be able to get something from them, and by the time you get on the website to try to order, it's sold out already. Like, it happens all the time. So for the longest time, I would try to get on and order stuff, and I would just give up because it would sell out so quick. But finally, one day I was able to get on and I ordered 2 palettes. I ordered the Indigo ink because I just think this is such a fun and unique color story. Like, I don't have anything else that looks like this. Not even close. I haven't used it a whole lot, but I think it's fun and I want to get some use out of it. And then during that time, I also picked up the Flight Club. And this one is more traditional, like purple color story. It kind of reminds me of the Wine palette, if you look at them. Not 100%. There's definitely some different shades in, in both. But the overall theme is the same. We've got a lot of different purple tones, but I like this one better. I just haven't used it. Did I use it once? Maybe I used it like once. Regardless, I'm glad I have it. I think it's such a cute palette. I love the artwork on the front, and I'm a sucker for a good purple eyeshadow color story. I'm getting tired of talking. Okay, these next 4 palettes, 5. The next 5 palettes are all from the Anastasia Beverly Hills Norvina collection. This is, and I'm not going to put them in order to show them to you, I'm just picking them up as they were laying in my drawer. This is the Pro Pigment volume number 6, and this is their final installment. I don't think they've come out with another one since. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not really keeping up too much with new releases these days. But this is such a fun, just bright, colorful, I love this. I love this color story. It reminds me a lot of the Surge palette from Blend Bunny Cosmetics because we have this deep shade here. We've got neons. We've got a little bit of lighter tones. We've got some fun shimmers. We got a couple of glitters in here that I'm not exactly thrilled about, but I can overlook those for the rest of the palette. These are really good quality. They blend well. Very pigmented, so I love the packaging on it. I'm a huge fan of these bigger palettes from Anastasia Beverly Hills. Some people really don't like them. I'm not one of them. I think they're great. This next one was their first release, volume number 1. There's lots going on in here. We've got orange and red and purple and pink and this mustard shade. Like, there's a lot going on. But I love it nonetheless. Lots to choose from. I have volume number 4. Pretty sure I did a video on this one. Pretty color story. We got some really oddball shades thrown in here, which throws me off a little bit, but it's fun. Again, love that I have it. And yeah, not going anywhere. I have volume 5. The only one I don't have is volume 2. And volume 2 is the blue-green color story. This one is the most cohesive out of the 6, in my opinion. It's purple, and there's also some browns and taupes in here, but they work really well together. I think that it's a really smart color story. I have a lot of fun using it when I do play with it, and I feel like the quality in this one is better than the first few. So, happy to have it. And then I have volume number 3. This is more of their fall-toned palette. Lots of kind of like funky shades. We got browns, some really bright neon shades. I think this is a really fun color story, and I'm glad I have it. Okay, I believe the rest of what I'm about to show you is all Colourpop. So Colourpop is one of those brands that I was super into a couple years ago. When I first really got into makeup and I discovered Colourpop, I thought that they were the best thing in the world. It was awesome to me, you know, that you could build your own palettes. The different color stories they were coming out with were innovative and fun, and they weren't releasing them so quickly to where you felt like you couldn't keep up or where you felt like they were played out. It was right before that whole era took charge. You know, now they're releasing so much, there's no freaking way you can keep up with all the releases. You don't have time to even use one before you're supposed to get excited about the next one. They're just back-to-back releases. They're releasing several palettes every week. It's just, in my opinion, way too much, and it kind of cheapens the brand a little bit. But I purchased from them mainly when they first really started getting popular. So a lot of what you're going to see is older palettes, and I love the fact that they're older because I feel like there was, I don't know if I want to say there was more thought put into them, but the color stories are more fun, in my opinion, and maybe not even more fun. Maybe it's just because they hold sentimental value, okay? I don't know, but I'm not going to be getting rid of any of my Colourpop palettes. Okay, first up is the Give It To Me Straight. And this one is just a typical rosy toned neutral palette. Very warm toned, very basic. I believe this was the first one that I ever got from them, and I got it in a BoxyCharm. Or no, you know what? This was like the second one I got from them. I'm sorry. But this was when I first really started getting into Colourpop, and it was just love at first sight. It just was. I loved Colourpop at this time. The first palette I ever got from them was the You Had Me at Hello. And this is what kind of kickstarted my obsession with Colourpop. And when you look at it now, it's very basic. Like, it's nothing revolutionary. It's super simple. But again, it was when I first really got into makeup. And at that time, I was used to using, like, CoverGirl, okay? Like, I wasn't even into, like, the colorful palettes. I didn't do colorful eyeshadow. You know, now I've got, like, red and gray and sparkles going on. But at that time, I wasn't into all that. So this was exciting to me, you know? It's ignited my love for Colourpop. I had also picked up the Zodiac palette, which was a collaboration with Kathleen Lights. And at the time, I thought this was super special, and I really loved the color story. But when I'm looking at it now, I just don't feel like the color story makes a lot of sense. The quality has definitely gone downhill over time. But like I said, there's sentimental value there with these palettes, so I'm not getting rid of it. I have the Flutterby, which is one of my, probably one of the more favorites out of the bunch. I just like the taupey tones. It's a little grungy. I like that aspect of this one. And it's got, I don't know, these tones look good on me. I like this palette overall, so I just like this palette, okay? Enough said. I have the Sweet Talk palette. This was another one that I really, really loved. Haven't used it in quite some time, but it is a beautiful palette. I have the Dream Street palette, which is another collaboration with Kathleen Lights. This one is one that I just think is super interesting with the orange and the green, and I want to get more use out of it, so I really need to make a point of using this more because I just think it's really pretty. I have their Good Sport, a very fall, in my opinion, very fall type of palette. And I really enjoy this one as well. I have their collaboration with Raw Beauty Christie. This is their At Forest site. This is one that I have not gotten much use out of. I think I used it for a video and maybe one more time after that. And it sits in the drawer. But I love Raw Beauty Christie, so it's not going anywhere. I have the Good as Gold. And this palette was not good as gold. There was some quality issues with this one. Some chunkier shades. Some of them are really mushy. Like that one is weird. I don't know what the hell was going on with the quality of this palette, but it's bizarre. But I still think it's really beautiful. I love the concept of it. My Little Pony. So I am an 80s baby. I was born in 83. My Little Pony was the shit when I was a kid. I bought this mainly for that purpose, for nostalgia reasons, and I just think it's such a cute palette. I bought the Boudoir Noir, and it's, you know, you got your olive green and your khaki shades, and I just thought it was really pretty. I picked up the Menage a Moi, and this one's just more mauves, and it's really pretty. I have the Fortune palette. Now, if I'm being honest, if I declutter any of them, it might be this one. This is one that I think is really nice. I just literally never use it, ever. I'm not sure that I've ever used it. And if I did, it was like once. Yep, I'm going to get rid of this. It's just a lot of browns with like a pop of pink or whatever shade that is. I'm going to get rid of that one. Look at me decluttering Colourpop. I have the Perception palette. This was their collaboration with Shayla. And I like the different tones in here. I think it's a really cute palette. And then I also have a bunch of their 9 pans. So I'm going to really quickly go through these. We got Strawberry Shake. We have Honey. Ooh La La. It's My Pleasure, which is probably my favorite, or one of the favorites from their 9 pans. High Tide. Really beautiful teal palette. Baby Got Peach. The Soul palette. I have Mar, which is like the twin to the Soul palette. This one's struggling a little bit. And then Just My Luck, which is like the second favorite from these 9 pans, because it's green and it's beautiful. That is my Colourpop collection, and that wraps up this other drawer. I have one more, well, I can't call it a drawer. I ripped one of my drawers apart because something fell behind it, so now it's like an open area in the bottom of my vanity, but that area is also full of palettes. And when I come back, we're going to go through and declutter that section. Okay, so before I forget, I am keeping 46 of the palettes that were in that drawer, and I'm decluttering 2. So out of 48 palettes in that drawer, getting rid of 2. I didn't realize I only had a handful of palettes left, or I would have just filmed this at the end of the last little section that I filmed. So we only have a little bit to go through here. I just want to get through it, declutter what I need to declutter, and then we'll go over the final numbers on how much I'm getting rid of and how much I had in total. You get the picture. So let's get into it. First up is the NYX Grind palette, and I bought this several years ago. I thought it was a really grungy, cute color story, and I still think it is. I haven't used it at all in years. You know, it's funny because I was talking earlier in the video about how that ABH shade Peacock was so unique, and it blended out to a really beautiful red when you blended it. I don't know if y'all remember me talking about that. But Grind has a color just like that right here. And it does the same thing. It's actually pretty decent quality. That really pretty duochrome. And then when you, don't mind the lipstick on my hand here, when you blend it out, the edges turn into that really pretty red. It's a really beautiful shade. And there's some other really pretty shades in here too. I don't know if this is available anymore, but it's feeling a little powdery now. It's, you know, it's getting kind of old. I'm just going to go ahead and declutter this since I don't use it anyway. Oh, Urban Decay Elements palette. Well, this was a holiday release, and I thought it was a really cute palette. It's got a lot of shimmer shades. A handful of mattes, quite a few shimmer shades, and I thought it was really pretty. A lot of pretty shades in here. I just don't ever use it, and there's just something about it that is just not that inspiring to me. There's nothing that really makes me want to use it. I feel like Urban Decay is just one of those brands that it was such a trailblazer for the makeup community, the makeup industry as a whole, and I really don't feel right decluttering any of their palettes, and I don't know why. So I think what I want to do is toss this one in a box with Naked Heat, Born to Run. I can just toss that in that box, and we'll just we'll keep them as collector's items. Next up is the NYX Ultimate Brights. Really cute, colorful palette. Had to have this. Bought it from Ulta several years ago and then never used it. Really pretty shades in here. I can't really speak to the quality because I've never put them on the eyeballs, but that's what some of them look like. If I'm just being honest, I know I have these tones 10 times over. I think I'm finally going to let this one go. I don't need to hang on to it. The Kylie Grinch collab. So I did a dedicated video to this palette when it came out a couple years ago now, I believe. And I was really hoping this was going to be a good quality palette because I like the color story. And there were several shades in here I was super excited about. Like this really chunky shimmery green. And there's another one up here that's like an iridescent green. But I was just excited about this palette overall because it's a collaboration with the Grinch, you know? But then I tried it and the quality was trash. It was tragic. So the only reason I hung on to this was because it was a collaboration with the Grinch, and that's the only reason I'm going to continue to hang on to it. I know that sounds silly, but I like the packaging. I like the concept. Execution, formula, not so much. Oh boy. So I could have sworn I decluttered this. There's several palettes I found back in my collection that I thought I got rid of. I thought I either threw away or gave away. And this was one of them. This is the Catrice Lavender Breeze. And y'all, look how light these tones are. They're really powdery. They're very light. Like, that's a whole lot of pastel, and they're all pretty much the same shade. Not enough to where you would notice any difference on the eyes. And then in terms of the shimmers, they're just not, they're not wowing me. This has to go. Next up in here is the Tati Beauty Volume 1. I can't get rid of this. It was the first and last from Tati Beauty in terms of eyeshadow palettes. I think it's a really pretty palette. I just don't ever use it. It's got a super heavy duty mirror on it. I like the concept of it where it's got the rows of the different intensities and finishes, and you got the glitteries, you got matte. I don't like this whole matte with sparkle row. I feel like we really could have done without that. Those shades just don't wow me. The little glitter particles floof away as soon as you start blending. The satins are okay. Like, in terms of quality, it's not a bad palette, but it's also not, like, my favorite palette. It's not the best quality. I really do love these glitter shades, though. I know they're glitters, and I talk a lot of shit about glitters, but there's something about these, something about the binder they used in them. Like, look at that. They just stick together beautifully, and I'm not exactly worried about those ending up in my eye as I am with other glitter formulas. They're really stunning. So I would say out of this palette, the mattes and the glitters are my favorite. But just because, again, Tati, it's the only palette, I'm keeping it. Alright, next up is the Violet Voss, the Holy Grail palette. And this was a Holy Grail palette, to me at least, for a little while. It's got a lot of warm tone neutrals in here. It's a super easy palette to use. Really nice quality. I feel like Violet Voss was really popular there for a while when this palette was popular. What was the other ones? Was it Hashtag? There was like a rainbow colored palette. I forget. There was quite a few that were super popular, and I feel like they've really gone downhill in terms of popularity since then. But this is a nice palette. I know damn well I don't need it. I've got these tones over and over again, but there's something about it that kind of makes me want to hang on to it just because, again, I really do love this palette, and I've used it a lot. I'm keeping it. Making the executive decision here. Another palette from Violet Voss, the Flamingo. And this is another one that, well, for one, has cat hair in it. But secondly, it's just a really cute palette. Lots of colorful shades. The shimmers are really nice. Let's check quality real quick. I haven't swatched this in quite a while. Do I need it? Hell no. Do I want to keep it? I'm keeping it. I think it's cute, really summery and fun, and I feel like that's the only two palettes I have left from Violet Voss, because I decluttered a couple. I'm hanging on to it. Next up is the Glamlight Cake palette. I think this was the very first Glamlight palette I bought. No, the Taco. Was it this one or the Taco? I can't remember. Street Taco? Regardless, I bought this. I was so excited to have it. Super colorful. Look at all this. It's just a rainbow palette, you know? I think I used it once or twice. A lot of really vivid, beautiful shades in here. I think it's super fun, and I'm going to keep it. So, last year on Mother's Day, my daughter bought me... Was it last year? No, I think it was the year before. My daughter bought me the LA Colors Rose palette. And this one I'm keeping strictly for sentimental purposes. I mean, when you look at it in terms of color story and quality and feasibility in terms of the way it's going to apply on the eyes with like the duplicate shades and whatnot, I wouldn't say it's a favorite palette in terms of those qualities, but the fact that my daughter bought this for me because she knows I'm a makeup fiend, and it was given to me on Mother's Day, this isn't going anywhere. I'll probably take this to my grave. Okay, I have a bunch of palettes from Anastasia Beverly Hills. The bigger palettes she collaborated with Norvina, I've already shown you. Those are in another drawer. But I have a lot of her palettes like this. So this is their collaboration with Jackie Aina. This is a really pretty palette. I'm not going to be getting rid of any of my ABH palettes. I just can't do it. It's something about the collector mentality. I just can't part with them, so y'all are going to have to forgive me. I have Amrezy, again, missing the brush, and I don't know if I've even really fully played with this. I know I've swatched it a bunch, and I might have used it like twice. It's really pretty, but I don't like the quality of the shimmers in here as much as I like them in some of the other palettes. They're more sparkly, more stunning, but they're also a little powdery. Is that the word I'm looking for? Crumbly? I don't know. I'm just being picky at this point, but it's still not going anywhere. I have Subculture, no brush. This is an OG palette. I think it's beautiful. The few times I've worn it, I've really liked it. I like being able to dip back in here just for nostalgia's sake, just to kind of test my limits since a lot of people hated that palette, but I really, really like it. Soft Glam was a staple for me for a very long time. It's filthy, and I used this a lot when I first bought it. Wore it to work all the time. It is a soft glam palette. You can do a lot with it. You could do very basic, very glam. I love that one. Modern Renaissance. This is one I never really saw the hype with. Look, I kept the brush in this one. You know what? Like, look at the quality. Is it just me? Y'all are going to have to tell me. I just feel like it's really cheap. Anyway, again, not getting rid of it. It's just one of those iconic palettes. This one wasn't my favorite, though. I would have picked Soft Glam over this one, but a lot of people really love Modern Renaissance. I just remember the excitement when I bought that palette. There was so much hype surrounding it. Everybody was talking about ABH and Modern Renaissance, Soft Glam. Like, I was so excited and thrilled to be buying that palette. It's just crazy how times change and how brands have evolved, and it's just crazy. The Sultry palette was another staple. Very neutral, glam, easy to use, basic color story. I love it. The Riviera palette was one that I just never used that much. It's a little more on the colorful side, and it was a little difficult for me to use. I had trouble with, like, matching the colors together or coming up with an eye look that I felt proud of. So I didn't use it a whole lot, but again, not getting rid of it. Okay, that was all of the rest of my ABH palettes. This last little section was such a hodgepodge. I've got a lot of different stuff going on. This next palette is from Black Radiance, and it is their Jaded palette. What? Ambience Jade? Yeah, Jaded / Ambience Jade. That's interesting. An interesting name for a palette. Anyway, I thought this was really, really cute. I saw it in one of the dollar stores. I can't remember which one. But I thought that the color story was really cute. All these greens, are you kidding me? But, you know, it's like $1 palette, $2 maybe. I can't remember how much I paid for it. So, the pigmentation's just not there. Love the shades. Formula is not great. So, I'm going to go ahead and pass this along. This next palette was a huge disappointment for me, and I almost got rid of it several times, but I really wanted to show you all just how bad this is before I throw it in the garbage. I ordered the Clarity So Mermazing palette, and I'm almost afraid to hold it upright. Every shimmer shade in here has turned to complete dust. Wow. Every shimmer shade? Almost every shimmer shade. Let me show you how bizarre this is. My guess is they didn't put enough binder in these shadows, and just over time, it's not like I had this sitting out exposed to the elements or something. Like, this has been in my drawer, chilling, and I haven't even used it. Would you look at... Okay, for one, I don't want it to spill. Look at this top shadow. It's nothing but dust. You could tell by the way it's, like, not in the pan properly. It's legit. Wow. You see it? Is that not crazy? And the green one is like that. Stop focusing on my face. Wow. Like, it's really pretty. The dust is pretty. Maybe I can repress. Like, I kind of want to repress those with my own binder and see if it works. But that's like that. The blue in the corner is like that. This orange shade is like that. The only one that's not like that is the freaking yellow. Is the only one that's normal. They're really beautiful, and I'm super bummed that they're like that, because I was excited. I'm going to do my best to fix those, but if I can't, I'm just going to throw it away. Like, these palettes are not cheap, and the fact that that happened and I didn't even get a chance to really use it, or I didn't use it, is frustrating. I'm sure you all remember at least one, if not a couple of these next few palettes. The Too Faced Sweet Peach. This was back when they were super popular, when Too Faced palettes were iconic. You know, people were collecting them, had to have them. And some people still do with like the gingerbread and whatever the ones, the hot chocolate. I don't even know all the ones they came out with now. But like back when I bought these were super popular, trendy. They smell like this smells like peaches. Albeit stale peaches, okay? But I can't get rid of them just for the simple fact that it's like a collector's piece, you know? It takes me back in time a little bit in makeup history, and it's sad. It's bittersweet, but I wanna hang on to it. I also have the chocolate bar. Did I even show you that? Hold on. Did I even show you what Sweet Peach looked like? It's super basic. You know what I mean? It's got a bunch of peach tones and browns and a pop of green and purple. But it's still, I gotta keep it. Back to the chocolate bar. Lots of browns and a pop of purple. And it smells like chocolate. But again, hanging on to that. And then this was probably my favorite. Well, the peach one was one of my favorites, but this was also a favorite for me. Their chocolate bar. Smells delicious. Really beautiful shimmer shades in here. They've lost their quality a little bit. This is like a 5-year-old palette by now. Is it really 5 years old? I bought it in 2017? Holy cow. I think this is a 5-year-old palette. Some of these shades still slap. I mean, some of them don't. Holla for a dollar. It's one of the shade names. I mean, some of them are still really beautiful. I may have to play with this in the future just for fun, like revisiting super old palettes. If y'all would be interested in that, let me know. I also have the Queen palette from Eloise. And I think I got this in a BoxyCharm. It's like a come back to BoxyCharm. They'll just lure you back in with free goodies. And they gave me this palette as a free gift. It's okay. It's nothing... This isn't a palette that I find myself reaching for. I think it's pretty. The quality's okay. It's nothing spectacular. Definitely nothing that I don't already have. And I mean, it's pretty, but I don't need this. Now, the last 3 palettes I have, sometimes I'm very hesitant to share this section of my collection with you because it's so controversial. But I did buy these palettes during a time when I bought from this brand. I no longer buy from this brand, but I'm going to share these palettes with you really quickly and then we'll move on. And I'm not throwing them away because they cost me money and the shadows are decent. I just don't support the brand anymore. So I have Jeffree Star's Blood Sugar. Definitely didn't get the kind of use out of this that I probably should have for as much as it costs. But the quality is good. I have the Alien palette. It's like, this is super gaudy packaging. I really don't care for the packaging. It's, at the time when I bought it, I thought it was cool, but I love the colors in there. And then I also have Bloodlust. Forgot the name of it. And I like the colors in here too. I just, you know, not going to go into a whole lot of detail, but I don't buy from the brand anymore. That is my entire eyeshadow palette collection. So I counted at the beginning of this, and I had 234 eyeshadow palettes, which is way too many for one person. But keep in mind, I do have a YouTube channel. I do review makeup. I do play with makeup and create content around what I own. So no single one person needs that many eyeshadow palettes. I'm well aware of that. It's a guilty vice of mine. I love having a collection, but that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to apologize for that anymore. 234 palettes. I will be right back to let you know how many I'm getting rid of. I lied. I have one more. So I am affiliated. Well, not affiliated. I am a member on Influencer. I don't even know how to word that. I use Influencer. It's an app where you can answer questions and surveys and get products sent to you in return for your honest review. So it's kind of like PR, but you kind of sign up for it. Anyhow, if you've never heard of it before and you want to get product for review, check them out. Again, it's Influencer. In saying that, I have been lucky enough to receive 2 Pat McGrath palettes so far through Influencer. Don't ask me how I've gotten so lucky. I guess it's how you answer the surveys and stuff. That's my guess. But they recently sent me their newest palette. I think this is Moonlit Seduction. There's the packaging. That's actually what I have on my eyes right now. It's the first time I've had a chance to play with it. I got it several weeks ago, and I've been battling some gnarly health issues. and mental health issues, and I just haven't had the will or desire to do much of anything. This is like the first time I've filmed in weeks, and I haven't filmed myself playing with this. I literally just put on enough makeup to get on here and finish this video for you all, because it's been sitting here edited for weeks. I just needed this last portion. So in saying all that, this is the new Moonlit Seduction palette from Pat McGrath Labs, and this is the eye look that I created with it. I think it's really beautiful. I think that it's very samey same though. There's a lot of tones like this already that Pat McGrath has released. It's timeless though. You know what I mean? I love the packaging. It's the same as her other larger palettes. I don't dislike it, so don't get the wrong idea. I just wouldn't have purchased this myself. I do have 3 of Pat's larger palettes like I showed you earlier in the video. So, you know, I'm not above and beyond doing that, but I wasn't going to buy this one just because I have these tones already. And like the special shades in here, I definitely have those either in other palettes or in my single sparkly specials from my indie brands. So I like it. I really enjoy the eye look I created, and I'm sure I'll create more, you know, fun, pretty eye looks with it. So I don't regret that I have it. I just wouldn't have purchased it myself. But she's a stunner. She's beautiful. So I at least wanted to share that with you since I did receive that several weeks ago. Okay. I'll be back with the total numbers. So I just went through and counted, and I'm decluttering 48 palettes. Started off with 234, getting rid of 48. That leaves me with 186 eyeshadow palettes. I'm pretty sure I got rid of 40 some the last time, didn't I? Or was it 50 some? I can't remember. But I got rid of quite a few the last time. I feel like 48 is not bad. Could have done better. Absolutely could have done better, but I like having a large collection, as I've already said, and I am not sorry about it. So thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate you all sitting through this incredibly long video. If you have, thank you. That's going to wrap up this collection and declutter video. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Not only does that let me know that you like this kind of content from me, but it lets YouTube know. So when you do that, it's engagement. It lets YouTube know that, you know, people are watching my content. It'll pull more people over here. It'll push this video out there. That way more people can find me. And I'm very grateful when you all take the time to do that. If you've made it all the way through this long-ass video and you're not subscribed yet, please do me the favor. Tap that subscribe button. Stick around for a little while. We would love to have you. Thanks again for watching, and I will catch you all in the next video. Bye.